Welcome to the Philthy Dad Pod, a place where three washed-up dads talk sports to the masses in between wiping asses. I am your host, Ryan, and I am joined by my co-host, Tom, and our fill-in co-host today, my boy, Kevin Rice. Brought you in right from the beginning. Thank you for joining us today. Derek's going to be sitting this one out. He's dealing with a little stomach bug. Tom, too. That's why we took his ugly mug off the camera. Just kidding. Tom, how you feeling after that game, bro? And how you feeling personally? You up for the show?
Yeah, I'm gonna hang in there. I don't know. I'm just not feeling too good under the weather. Wasn't feeling the best yesterday, but I thought maybe just something more. But today's just worse. So hopefully I feel better tomorrow. But I think what made it worse is that fucking Buccaneers game. So
the lock of the week has been unlocked again. We got to talk about this. I'm never going to be able to get you a sponsor if we're at 2-3, Tom. I'm trying to win some money here.
Blame Tom Terrific on that one, dude. Now you can't blame him. He played a good game. I blame the defense. Terrific. Your boy fucking Devin White let the fucking Ngoku catch a one-handed pass over him. Come on now.
Beautiful catch. Kev, what I know you're recovering from a heartbreaking loss that we're going to get into with your Ravens going down to Big Balls Doug. How do you feel about the NFL slate? What games caught your eyes? And just real quick, man, what's the initial aftershock feeling of that Ravens loss?
For starters, man, it's just the Ravens just find a way to lose games. It's fourth quarter came down to some real bullshit that we'll get into. The other games that really caught my eye was the Bengals beating the Titans was a big win for them. The Bengals are right now 7-4 and tied with the Ravens. I think the Ravens have the tiebreaker because we beat the Bengals and the Browns. But the fact they pulled that win out is a big deal. They did it without Jamar Chase and without Joe Mixon. And I spot started P. Ryan today, and the dude went off. He had, I think, 25 points for me or something. Same with T. Higgins. So they're stepping up. That was the one that caught my eye the most today. The Browns beating the Bucks was definitely a shock. Especially with, I mean, do you guys think there's any controversy coming with D-Watt coming back and Brissett winning this past weekend?
Maybe if he was on a 1-year prove-it deal, maybe if he was, when you give somebody a fully $250 million contract guaranteed, nah, there ain't no not in my mind. But again, with the Browns, I've been arguing with the Browns for a couple weeks. I said I want you to just give the ball and live vicariously through Nick Chubb, and they haven't done it. But today they did, and I love the Cleveland Browns for that. Today they did do that.
I think Tom, 27 carries.
27. I think it was 27 touches. 27 carries and one reception. Yeah, he got a lot of touches today. I called for 35 plus. He didn't get that, but he came close. Tom, Dylan Whipper came to shit on you, but he's not going to because he's showing some sympathy. And then another Raven guy says we're on to Atlanta. That's kind of all you can do right now is just be on to Atlanta. But we're going to get into that. Before we get into the recap of the week.
Hold on. 12. Shout out, though. 86-yard touchdown run for Josh Jacobs to end the game.
Wow.
Game over?
Game over. Wow. 86 yards. I'm literally watching it right now. That's the only reason why I said it. That boy is whoo.
And what did we say? All three of us took the Raiders to beat the Seahawks because the Seahawks, like I said, like the Giants and like the I forget who the other team was. They're frauds.
You think the Jets? The Jets. The
Giants, the Jets, and the Seahawks are frauds. Yeah. They had them all in my top 10, and I was waiting for them to fall out, and they have all fallen out. And the Ravens are looking close to falling out too, honestly. But they'll probably still be there. All right. But before we jump into the recap, I want to jump into the Sunday night football game that we got coming up that we are going to be giving live reactions to. The Eagles are hosting the Packers, who Aaron Rodgers is coming in with a banged up thumb. It's coming into this game. Honestly, I know they lost their last game versus the Titans, but they played good defensively in regards of stopping the rush attack of Derrick Henry. The last couple weeks, Christian Watson has been blowing up 5 touchdowns in 2 weeks. He seems like it's not Lazard. It's more Christian Watson is becoming that favorite target for Rodgers. And how do you guys feel about the game? Kev, I'll come to you first. How do you feel about the Eagles-Packers? Who do you think is going to win? And give me a couple players to watch on each side.
Guys, I think this game is going to be closer than we think. I think that Rodgers is really going to come out here and remind us who the 2-time MVP is. I think some guys to look out for. Christian Watson has been going off the last couple of weeks. He's had 2 touchdowns the past couple weeks. He seems to be finding a little bit of a groove with Rodgers. And the other dude is Aaron Jones, who Tom's been harping on it for weeks, man. Is just they got to give this guy the ball. He needs to touch the ball 20 to 25 times, and I think it's going to give him a great shot. For the Eagles, Jalen Hurts has been balling. He hasn't looked great the last few weeks, but I think that this defense isn't really that good. They really the offense that they have, the RPOs, the running the ball with the quarterback. I think it's going to really open up some holes in this game. Is Jordan Davis playing tonight? Do you guys know?
Jordan Davis? No.
No, is he out? Is he out for a while? Is that
he's out? Well, he's on the. I think they placed him on the IR, so he's out guaranteed 4 games. So this is his 3rd game, I believe, right?
Yeah, 3rd or 4th. He should be back next week or the week after. And we are missing him. But yeah, as somebody was about to mention, they did sign Sue and Linval Joseph because of that. But go ahead, Kev.
I think it's going to come down for them. I think it's going to come down to stopping Aaron Jones. I think that he's going to be featured a lot, and these 2 defensive tackles, these old men, I think they're going to bring something different. I know that they struggled last week, but the Colts are a sneakily good team. We all know what the Colts were last year, and it seems like they returned to form as far as just giving the ball to JT. But with the Eagles, I think that A.J. Brown is always a dude to watch. He always seems to be catching the ball and running after. I know he fumbled last week, but when he catches the ball, he runs it like he's the bus or Derrick Henry or something. The dude just is a tank, man. As I'll never forget when the Ravens played him a few years back, and he spun out of like 3 guys and then stiff-armed a dude and walked into the end zone to beat us. That's all I got. I think score-wise, I think the score is going to be something like 31-27. I think the Eagles are going to beat them, but I think we're going to see Aaron Rodgers do his absolute best.
All right. Is that a 31-27 like Eagles score late to win, or is that a Packers score late, make it a little bit closer? Or
I think it's going to be Eagles. Eagles are winning the majority of the game. The Packers will score and probably make it 27-24, and then the Eagles are going to go down and score. Jalen Hurts is going to lead a drive at the end of the game.
Very specific, and if this hits, I'm coming to you for lottery numbers. So I do like what you said. I think that the Packers D does have some holes. They are a little bit better in pass coverage and pass rush than they are against the run. And the Eagles excel in the run. They're number 1 in the league with 18 rushing attacks. At least coming into today, the numbers may have changed a little bit with the action going on and them not playing yet. But yes, I'm expecting the Eagles rushing attack to really get going in this one, and it'll help Jalen Hurts open up to get guys like A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith the ball. Tom, what do you got on this game for me?
To me, it comes down to, so the Eagles in the first 7 games, I believe, had 3 total turnovers in the first 7 games, and now they had 3 in the past 2 games, I believe it is, if I'm correct.
Yep,
So
sounds about right.
they lose to Washington, come back, and they don't look good at all for the first 3 quarters against Indianapolis. And in the fourth quarter, they show up. Jalen Hurts completely takes over the game and drives us down and wins us the game. I don't care if the Packers' record's 4-7. I don't care if they're 0-11. You're going against Aaron Rodgers, who's always going to be able to put you in situations to try to win. So it comes down to you got to time of possession, got to control the game, keep Aaron Rodgers off the field as much as possible, and you just can't turn over the ball. Aaron Rodgers, I believe, is since he's a career undefeated record against the Eagles, and I seen a stat earlier. I don't remember what the record was, but I believe he's never lost to the Eagles, and I believe he has like a touchdown to interception ratio of like 15 touchdowns and 1 interception career against the Eagles.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's something that I guess he loves playing against Philadelphia because as of right now, Aaron Rodgers owns Philadelphia. So I think this is a game that we break out. We have to break out. I mean, fucking they painted our red zone. They painted our end zones black. We're wearing our black helmets for the first time. We're all black. We're blacked out on a shitty night in Philadelphia under the lights. It's just a game that the Eagles have to win, and I think it's something like not really the spread means anything because I don't care if we win by 1 because a win's a win, but come out, play the football game, and fucking cover the spread. Just shut everybody up over these last 2 weeks.
So I agree with most of what you said. I don't think that Aaron Rodgers necessarily owns the Eagles. In his last 5, he's 3-2 with 4 of those games being in Green Bay. And well, he did win 1 in Philly, but it's a little bit of a different time in Green Bay. He doesn't have Devontae Adams. He doesn't have a younger Randall Cobb, and he doesn't have Jordy Nelson and the guys that he had, earlier in these matchups that I'm looking at. But yeah, overall in his career, he's done a pretty serviceable damage to the Eagles, and I'm expecting him to ball out. Philly got to show up, man. We can't play with our food. I want Gannon to be aggressive. I want them to just get after him and see what happens. Laquan says Green Bay by 3 today, and we'll see what happens. I'm willing to bet a Happy Meal cooked by Chef that don't happen, but like I said, we'll see. All right, so I did want to jump right into that was all right. Let me go. Eagles win. I think that they win. It's a 1 possession game. I'm not really too sure of a score, but I'm looking forward to see Miles Sanders and the guys get going. And if they don't, it's going to be a long day. But either way, I still got the Eagles winning. Last week, Tom said the Bengals are back, and me and him were going back and forth. I tried to get him to wager an eyebrow on the game with me, and I'm glad that I didn't because the Bengals beat the Titans 20-16 in a physical battle that definitely has the feel of a brewing rivalry that has kind of reached its peak at this point. There was some jawing after the game, after the final snap, and it was a tough way for the Titans to lose. But Red Zone reminded me today that the Titans and the Bengals used to be in the same division, and that's just another thing. It kind of spices up these matchups a little bit. Mixon and Jamar Chase were both out. Cincinnati, it doesn't matter to them. The Titans came into this game allowing the least amount of points per game in the NFL since week 4. They hadn't been beat in regular time since week 2. They did have that overtime loss. But listen, I came into this game. Derrick Henry was my player to watch, right? And since he completely bottled him up on the ground, he was able to take a screen pass for 75 yards before he was stripped for a touchdown. And it was Treylon Burks whose big hustle play saved the touchdown for Henry. And then he made a huge, I don't know if you guys saw that catch that he made late in the third. He mossed the Bengals cornerback. I think it was Taylor Britt. And that's set Cincinnati up for what turned out to be the game-winning touchdown. I was wrong there in Henry being the one that was going to show up and do his thing, but I was also wrong about the Cincinnati Bengals O-line. I said that they don't like Joe Burrow because they just let him get sacked. And today they must have liked him. They only gave up 1 sack. And it turned out to be it was a big game for Cincinnati. It was a little bit of a demoralizing game, in my opinion, for the Titans. to fight as hard as they did against a team that just knocked you out the playoffs last year when you were the 1 seed, and to give all that and then lose on a dumbass defensive penalty. That was terrible. Tom, how did you know? Well, I'm going to say, how did you know? But you've been on the Bengals since we started here. How'd your Bengals pull this one out?
They just didn't give up. I mean, they played. They knew that they were missing Joe Mixon. They knew they were missing Jamar Chase. They didn't know. I mean, in the locker room, they probably knew for a while Jamar Chase wasn't playing, so that's how they game planned it. But now they were just playing for these guys. I mean, the Bengals started out 0-2. I believe they won. Now, is it 6 of their last 8? It was 5 of their last 7 yesterday. I mean, when I talked about them yesterday, so it must be 6 out of the last 8. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Rye, but this is the same way this is the same way they started out last year, I believe. They started off slow, got hot, and it's like any other sport, man. The hottest team, no matter who you're playing talent-wise, the hottest team's going to win. The team that gets hot is going to win. The team that has all the momentum is always going to win a game. And the Bengals got the momentum in the second half, and that's when they needed the momentum. I mean, Joe Burrow played great. He played clean football. He didn't turn the ball over. Traylon, I mean, like I said, the key option was to stop Derrick Henry. And even though he had that one pass for 75 yards and he still got stripped, but other than that, just that one pass, he did absolutely nothing for the Titans today. 17 carries for 37 yards, 38 yards. He did nothing. He didn't help them out, or he helped them score one. He helped them score one touchdown. That was mainly it. Other than that, Joe Burrow took over the game. He played great, and he just found T. Higgins. Like I said, T. Higgins was one of the guys to watch. He's having a hell of a year with Jamar Chase, he's still playing great, and he's even playing better and stepping up without Jamar Chase. And this is why I think when Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon are back, the Bengals are again a scary team in the AFC. And I'm not saying they're going to go to the Super Bowl, but nobody thought they were going to go to the Super Bowl last year. So they're just another team to watch out for in the AFC.
Absolutely. They did shock everybody last year and came out of nowhere, and they look like they're winning games without Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is coming back, and that dude is – listen, you think T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd show out now? Even Hayden Hurst, the former Raven, is getting into the mix. They look, they got a nice offense. Burrow, if he can stay clean and make smart plays, dude, they're dangerous, and I will not make the mistake of sleeping on them again in the playoffs this year. Kev, what do you got on the game? Now, I know you – might not like the outcome because with what happened. Is Cincy in first for the AFC North, or is it tied? Or
we beat them. We beat them heads up. So we're tied in record, but we've won both of our division games. So we are technically in first. I think it's an impressive win. Look, the Titans, it hasn't really been noted by either of you guys. The Titans are a magical team. I don't really understand how they are they're 7-3 or 7-4, and these guys come out every week and they play everybody close. Vrabel does an incredible job. I don't understand how they do it, to be honest with you. There were some comments about how the Bengals line played better. The Titans have got a terrible defense. The Titans the Titans are Derrick Henry. That's it. Yeah. Very impressive win for them. Nonetheless, the Titans are a very good team. But I don't want it to get blown over proportion because since he's still got to play the first place schedule. They got the Chiefs. Somebody said it next week. That's going to be a huge test because if Mixon isn't healthy and Jamar Chase isn't back, I've got some real questions if their defense is going to be able to stop Mahomes, because Mahomes is playing on an absolutely different level right now. With that being said, kudos to the Bengals. They got it done. They're a hot team right now. They're winning games. Ravens playing last week of the season. It's looking like it's going to come down to that game. Obviously I'm rooting against the Bengals every week. I have to. It's the division rival. I'll give them their kudos this week. Definitely impressed that they looked like dog shit when I was locked into the Ravens game, but every time it was flashing back and forth, they looked bad in the first half. I know that I think the score was 10-7 at halftime, but they got it done, man. It's very, very hard to win a game in the NFL.
It is, especially against a team that is fully committed to one of the best running backs in the league. And listen, the Bengals rush defense is their weaker unit between them against the rush and them against the pass. The rush defense is weaker. And still that didn't matter. It seemed like their weaknesses, which is the rush defense against Henry, is what I was concerned about, and the reason why I thought the Titans were going to win. And then the Titans, last time they played the Bengals in the AFC playoffs last week, they got 9 sacks. So I'm like, okay, this O-line is going to get trashed again. And again, 1 sack and then a rush defense holds Henry. And even with that, as good as they played in those two aspects, I agree, they look like shit. They won 20-16 over a team that outside of Derrick Henry really wasn't able to get much going. Like you said, it was 10-10 at halftime. They got 2 field goals out the second half. I mean, Cincinnati didn't do much better, but they were able to punch that 1 second half touchdown in, which turned out to be that was the difference in the game. And
hey man, you score touchdowns in the NFL, you're going to win games. You're going to win games.
And they did just that. Now, you talked about their schedule, and I just wanted to touch on that real quick before we move on. They got the Chiefs, they got the Browns, who just won, and then again, the Browns beat their ass on Monday Night Football a couple weeks ago, and I know that the Bengals aren't going to forget that. I think that one's in Cincinnati. I feel like the Bengals are going to try to get one back, but they got the Chiefs, the Browns, the Bengals, the Patriots, Bills, and then you guys. So that is a tough listen. I know that the Bucs are struggling. They lost today, but the Bucs are the Bucs. With Brady there, they got a chance. The Patriots is not an easy game. The Patriots don't have the best offense, but they got a great defense. And then you got the Bills and Ravens to close out the season. It's going to be a tough schedule for Cincinnati, but listen, I'm not going to count them out. I won't do it. The Cleveland Browns came into this game, and this was Tom Flynn's lock of the week, the Bucs -3.5, and we seen what happened. The coming into this game, I wanted to see the Browns go to Nick Chubb and really set the tone, and they did. And on the first carry, he fought for about 6 or 7 yards. It wasn't anything too crazy. It wasn't anything that it was like, oh my God, Nick Chubb right out the gate. But it was the way I remember watching that, because I pay attention to the Browns. I want to see what they're doing now, because I've been yelling at them for weeks. I want to see if they're listening. Chubb fights on that first carry. He gets stopped. It looked like he was going to get dropped at the line, and he squirts through, and he finds 6-7 yards to get. And it's just, that's the type of runner he is. He fights for everything. And once I seen that, I was like, okay, he's going to have a decent game. He was ready to go. Then they turn to Brissett on the opening drive, and he goes 3 for 3, completes a couple big passes, and they go back to Chubb. He picks up, he hits the Bucs for 15 yards, and then they take Chubb out. They throw Hunt in, and they completely confused the Bucs defense. They faked the handoff to Hunt. I feel like I was playing Kevin Madden. They faked the handoff to Hunt. They do the jet sweep with no. They did the reverse. They gave it to Hunt. Hunt tossed it back to Schwartz, and next thing you know, he's in for the end zone. Then Brady responds, and coming into this game, he was second in total QBR when using play action. So a big thing for this game was get the rushing attack going, and they're missing Leonard Fournette. So now it's Rachaad White, who's been kind of looking pretty good. You got to get Rachaad White in that ground game going, and he comes out the gates, 2 carries, 42 yards on his first 2 carries. And Brady would just continue to lean on the rushing attack, which moved them down to the 11. He connects with Godwin 2 plays later for the Bucs counter punch. And that opening sequence from both teams offensively, I was so happy. I was like, all right, the Bucs got Amari Cooper, they got Njoku, who turned out to be big, and they got Nick Chubb. And then Brissett's playing good, but that's their players. It's really Cooper and Chubb. And then the Bucs, they got to get a rushing attack going so that Brady can do what he does in the play action. And both teams were able to do that. The Bucs established a run on the first drive. The Browns established that you got to watch Nick Chubb right now, and it worked out for both of them. How did you guys, Kev, I'm going to come to you. We're going to keep it in the AFC North. How did you feel? I know you said it was a big win for the Browns, but what was the turning point in the game? What was the key? Give me something on the game that really stuck out to you.
Is with the Browns, man, it all starts and it all ends with Nick Chubb. If you can slow Nick Chubb down, you can beat the Browns. They really don't have much behind that. But the fact that Nick Chubb got going, the Bucks couldn't slow him down. I think he scored the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah.
And he's a beast, man. You run the ball at teams that can't stop the run, and you control the clock. It's one of the things that, as a Ravens fan, I'm not very afraid of Deshaun Watson coming back. I'm afraid of Nick Chubb with Deshaun Watson, because they proved it today. They'll win with Jacoby Brissett. They can win with the guy. And Jacoby Brissett is Jacoby Brissett. He's a good game manager. He's not going to make too many mistakes. He might hold on to the ball a little bit too long, but overall, I don't think he's going to lose you the game. Now they're sitting at 4-7. The AFC is totally wide. It's wide open. That last spot, somebody's going to get in at 9-7. Not or 10-7. 9-8. I could see it happening just because there's so many teams right now that have got 4 losses. So that being said, I think that this is a damning loss for the Bucks, not because the Bucks are going to miss the playoffs or anything. They play in a dog shit division, so they're going to get in. But for the team, now they've lost to the Ravens. They've lost to the Browns. They've still got the Bengals on the schedule. It's not a good look for them. Brady's Brady. I'll never bet against the guy in the playoffs, but you've got to ask some questions if they really can win in the playoffs. I mean, is anybody really going to take Daniel Jones over Tom Brady or whoever else is going to come in at that 5 seed to play the 4 seed Bucks?
It will not be
No.
Daniel Jones and the Giants. I can promise you that.
Well, all right, let's say Dak. Let's say, who's going to get, it's like whoever has that 5 seed, are you really going to pick them over Tom Brady? Is my point. I don't think so, as I wouldn't. I mean, I think that the Cowboys are playing great right now. They've kind of figured out what they're doing. They've got a great pass rush. But with that being said, is just the Bucks. I didn't watch too much of this game, but I heard you guys talking before we got on about how well Devin White plays. And I think if the Bucks are to really, really make the next step, it's got to be Devin White making the plays, because Levante Adams is always going to be in the right spot. The dude's an absolute playmaker. The guy will always be in the right spot. But when Devin White makes plays and he's flying around and he gets to the quarterback, but there's so many times that he misses, he makes the wrong read. He does something bad. I'm definitely excited to see what happens with the Bucks. I think they're one of the biggest question marks in the NFC right now. But yeah, that's all I got on Browns Bucks. Congrats to the Browns, man. Keeping the season alive, 4-7 with Deshaun Watson coming back. It's not bad.
So, to piggyback off of what Kev said a little bit, I think Dallas would go into Tampa Bay and absolutely destroy Tom Brady. But that's just my opinion.
Why do you think that?
Because they probably just lost Wirfs for the year, who's their best offensive lineman, who had to be carted off the field today. Dallas's Bucks offensive line would not be able to compete with Dallas's defensive line. And again, I will say it every week, Micah Parsons might end Brady's career.
So why didn't he do it in week 1 when Dallas lost 19-3?
It's all right, dude. He was just getting into the groove, baby.
with Dak playing. Dak went 14 for 29, 134 yards.
You can't compare. You're going to compare this team, the Week 1's team.
I am, because Dak played, and Michael Parsons played just as well in Week 1 as he's playing now.
This
two
Dallas,
sacks in Week 1.
This Dallas team is 10 times better than it was in Week 1.
No, this Dallas team is the same team it was in Week 1. They just have a different philosophy that they're
sure they have more chemistry now.
They have more chemistry. Okay, so again, what's chemistry? I mean, listen, they only ran the ball 16 times against the Bucs, but I don't call the plays for them, so I can't answer for that. But what I do know is the last time that these teams played, Dallas put up 3 in the first quarter, and then they got donutted the rest of the game. And so I'm not about to sit here and say that same Dallas team that got smacked around in Week 1 is going to turn around in the playoffs at a playoff game against Brady in Tampa, when Dallas and Dak have a history of being that great regular season team that chokes in the playoffs. I'm not about to sign off on the Cowboys just mopping up your boy Tom Brady like you've been mopping him off his whole career, Tom. Now you want to turn against them and go for Dallas? Who's the one that got the Dallas star on their leg? You or me?
Dallas goes into Tampa and puts an ass whooping on Tom Brady.
Whatever. You know what? I'm sick of
ass
you.
Whooping? How much? How much you saying, Tom? What's the number?
10 plus points.
I will make that bet with you.
I'll make that bet with you too.
Let me get your eyebrow, Tom.
Let's wait till the time comes, buddy.
All right, we will.
And do the mustache.
Tom's gonna walk out with a fucking porn star handlebar and one eyebrow like this, just because he fucking wanted to go against Brady after arguing. Bro, I've known this dude almost my whole life. Yo, he's argued me. Brady is the GOAT his entire life since he learned how to spell football, and now he's quitting on Brady in favor of Dookie Dak and the fucking Cowboys, who. Tom, who they just blew a fucking 14-point fourth quarter lead to Aaron Rodgers, who has nobody.
And then they went to Minnesota and held them to 3 points. What's your point?
I called that the Vikings were coming off of a big win. They were home.
Nobody in the world called that ass whooping that Dallas gave them. Yes, you called the Dallas win. You didn't say they were going to win by almost 40 points.
I said 2 possessions. My prediction.
That's fucking 5.
All right, but listen. That's what? What'd you say? You broke up a little bit.
I said that's 5 possessions, damn near.
I don't give a damn what it is. 8, 16, 24, 30. It is. It's 5 possessions. Good math, Tom. But I don't give a damn. It's they caught lightning in the bottle. Minnesota came in off of that high fucking win that they were running on emotion, adrenaline, and they slept. They overslept their alarm. I do think that Dallas team beats that Minnesota team on a neutral field, probably, no bullshit, maybe 90 out of 100 times. This ain't about the Vikings. I do like the Cowboys as a better team than the Vikings if I was picking. And I do think the Cowboys are a better team than the Bucs. I'm talking about in the playoffs. I don't know. I would probably pick the Cowboys to win if I had to bet my own money, but they're not going in there and smacking Brady at a home playoff game. I don't care if he had the 3 of us as his receivers. I'm not sleeping on Brady. You're the one that taught me don't sleep on Tom Brady, and now I won't do it.
You can't do it. No, I've lost too much money betting against Brady to ever bet against him again, man. I won't do it. I'll give Brady 1 playoff win this year. I don't care who's there. I don't care if it's Dallas. I don't care if it's the Eagles. I don't care who it is. I'll take Tom over whoever it is.
Let's slow down. It won't be the Eagles, buddy.
And you know why? You know why he will take Tom Brady and why I will co-sign him? Because Tom Brady, and you guys, somebody could check this. I'm just going to say it blindly, but I feel that it's probably true. Tom Brady will probably enter that playoffs with more playoff experience than the rest of the quarterbacks in the fucking tournament combined. He definitely got more Super Bowl experience than all of them. So I'm not about to go against the greatest playoff winner that this league has ever seen, who I know they lost today, but they've been looking better. They've been looking better. And who's been looking really good, talking about Brady, his former AFC East rival, I guess you could say, the Dolphins. Well, he used to beat the shit. It was weird. He would beat the shit out of the Dolphins, and every once in a while, the no good Dolphins would fucking stun the Patriots. Every couple years, they would just stun the Patriots when the Patriots were the best team in the league, and the Dolphins were the worst. And it's like the Eagles with the Commanders. But Dolphins did smash the Texans 30-15, and it was coming into. I had the prediction at 38-10. So it was looking good for me earlier, but then Houston made a couple people sweat. Miami didn't have no starters in. It was a blowout, really. It was, what was it, 30-0 at halftime?
I think it was 30-0
they didn't,
at half.
Yeah, they didn't score another game. The third offensive. Now, when you have on one side, you have Tua, you have Tyreek Hill, you have Waddle, and you have this offense that is. I mean, you could fucking pick them or the Chiefs as the best offense in the league, right? And you're opposing them with the Texans, who I said coming into this game had a bottom 3 offense, a bottom 3 defense, and they're now coming in with a backup quarterback. They had one good thing going for them all season. Even Brandon Cooks, who's been like the bright spot of their wide receiver core, ever since he didn't get traded, he don't want to be there. He's not doing much. He showed up a little bit today in garbage time, but they had one chance to make this game respectable, and that was through Dameon Pierce. And they just completely were like, no, on the third offensive drive of the game for Houston, Pierce gets them 9 yards on a second down. They follow that up with a penalty that gives them the first down. And it really was like the first sign of life that Houston's offense was showing. It was their first, well, I almost dropped my coffee. It was their first down of the game. And it's like, hey, we're waking up a little bit. We need a spark just to put a couple points on the board and make this Dolphins team play not up 30-0, right? So at that point, I think it's still a 1 possession, maybe a 2 possession game. They hand the ball off to him. He gets 9 yards. The next play's a penalty. They get the first down. After that, they look Kyle Allen in his face and say, "Go throw the ball 3 times in a row." He says, "Okay, cool, man. I'm going to do that because I'm the backup quarterback who's going to lead you to a fucking win over the Dolphins." And he goes incomplete, 4-yard pass, incomplete punt. The next drive, Allen throws a pick. The next time they get the ball, Allen throws a pick, and they get 4 yards on a 3 and out. They're the next 2 drives. Throws a pick, then they do fucking nothing. Akins made a catch. He gets rocked. That's a fumble for a touchdown. And you blink, it's 27-0. 27-0. Miami gets the ball back. They put 3 more up before half. It's 30-0 before halftime, and the game is fucking over. Was there anything in that game that I picked a lot of the Dolphins players in my DFS? I had Tua, Jeff Wilson, and Tyreek Hill, and they had decent games, but they were just pretty much out at halftime. You guys got anything on this game besides what I touched on? It was a pretty snooze-worthy game, but it's still NFL football, and I would be begging for this game in July.
The only thing that I have to say is watching that game, noticing Tua makes how great he's playing. He makes some of the dumbest throws into dude. He made 2 throws that both of his receivers were in triple coverage. That just made me think, like, why would you even make them throws? Like, why even try to fit them balls in? You have such a demanding lead. Why try? I mean, I guess you can make them type of throws to see what you got there, but they were just like you can't make them throws in a game that's not not a blowout game like that was. Other than that, you touched off everything. You said everything that you needed to be said.
Kev, you got anything on this one?
Dolphins defense balled out. I think the Texans offense sucks. Kyle Allen sucks. The fact they didn't try and run the offense through Pierce is kind of mind-boggling. I don't know how many touches he had, but can't imagine it was more than 15 to 20. Xavier Howard got a touchdown.
I'll give you a hint. How many carries, without looking, how many carries do you honestly think both of you, Dameon Pierce, had today?
I'm going to say 12.
All right, Tom.
How many touches Dameon Pierce had today?
How many carries did he have? Give me a guess. If you didn't look. If you look, don't say a word.
8.
All right, so Kev, you said it can't be less than 15. Well, the whole team combined for 14 carries. Dameon Pierce, hold up, their backup running back had 4 carries. Their quarterback, who's a backup quarterback, had 4 carries. Damian Pierce had 5 carries. 5. He did get targeted 6 times, 3 catches, 8 yards. He's not a receiving back, so I'm not even going to look at the targets as, oh my God, I feel a little bit better because they gave him 5 carries, 6 targets. They designed 11 plays for him. Now I know, and I did watch a good amount of that game, and I went back and I looked through the game again, and I looked through some of the numbers, and it's tough. The Browns, the Colts, teams like that with these stud running backs, I'm going to get on them no matter what. They're a little bit more advanced teams. They got better defenses. They got better supporting cast. But the Houston Texans, as much as I want to kill them for not 5 carries, is unacceptable. There's no shot that dude should have 5 carries, and then fucking Kyle Allen should have 39 pass attempts. So I'm not going to excuse him for that, but it is tough when you're trying to. He had that 1 carry for 9 yards that I was talking about. He didn't even finish with 9 yards on the day rushing. He had 8 yards. So his next 4 carries were just for a total of -1 yards. So it is tough to continue doing that and running the ball and getting 1 or 2 yards when the other team is a track star team. But you got to do something. I mean, again, the answer, no matter what, at worst case, you keep the clock running and it's not 30-0 at halftime. But to get fucking Kyle Allen 40 pass attempts, that's not a recipe for success, not against the Dolphins. Another game that I was excited, I set up all eyes wrong going into this game, and it really was a kind of a boring game, but it was a very important game, was the Falcons and the Commanders, because they both were battling for that 8th spot in the NFC playoff race, and the Commanders, they cooked the Dirty Birds. Falcons are done. I'm going to go on record right here, right now, and say the Falcons, I said before the game that the winner would make the playoffs and the loser would miss the playoffs, and I'm going to stick with that. Although I'm not too confident with the Commanders because of, they beat the Eagles. They've won some good games, but today they won in spite of Taylor Heineke. Like, I know that he had a solid game. He didn't make big mistakes, but he didn't do really anything. He didn't have a game that makes you feel like they're a problem. But as much as I want to continue on that train, he did win, and a win is a win is a win. He threw 2 touchdowns in the game. Seen the 2 teams combined for 66 rush attempts versus 48 passing attacks. So both teams were just like, we got great rushing attacks. Our quarterbacks are a little we're just going to run the ball. And that's what they did. And Brian Robinson, before I pass it off, I just want to touch on Brian Robinson. No homo, no pause. Brian Robinson is a beast. This dude took over it was Washington's 2nd drive out of the half. They went to him 4 straight times, and 5 out of their 6 first plays went to Robinson. He got 1 more touch later in he had 6. Yeah, he got 1 more touch later in the drive, and he wound up with 29 yards on that specific drive. And it seems like, well, 29 yards isn't too crazy, but on one drive it's pretty good. And he was the driving force in that drive that put points on the board for Washington. And in a game where it was 19-13, every drive counted. But he got a touchdown today. He had 125 all-purpose yards, and since returning from his unfortunate injury, he's starting to is it him or Antonio Gibson? Antonio Gibson was a good back for them, but I think he's just losing that backfield with every time this dude touches the ball. And then Atlanta, bro, they have a chance to get back all the way back into the game. They get all the way down to Washington's 2-yard line. Mariota throws a pass that gets deflected, gets picked off by Kendall Fuller, and the Commanders beat the Falcons. Again, kind of boring game, but a very important game for the NFC playoff picture. What do you guys got on that game?
Definitely going to stir up the NFC with Washington winning, even though I was praying for Mariota to get the ball over the defensive line, which he couldn't fucking do. That ended the game pretty much. But I mean, they're playing for Heineke. They're playing for their quarterback. They're still without Chase Young. Their defensive line is good. Their defense is playing great. And when they get Chase Young back, it's only going to be better. So, I mean, I'm not saying Washington's going to make a run, but I do think outside the Giants, I don't like. I'm on board with you, where I think they're going to have a massive fallout because their offense just ain't going to be able to keep up. But like that's the difference between Washington. That's the difference between the Washington Commanders and the Giants. Are Washington can put up points against other teams. Where the Giants, you see, struggle to put up points, but they ride on their defense. But then the piggyback off of Brian Robinson, Rye and Kev, I got a question for you real quick. See if you guys, Kev, you'll probably know. Rye, I think you'll know. But tell me what all these running backs I'm about to name, tell me what they have in common. Brian Robinson, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Sean Alexander.
Yeah, I got this one.
Yep.
The University of
common?
Alabama.
Is it their college? Yep. Bama. Roll Tide.
The Alabama and Crimson Tide produce fucking guys that are made in labs as running backs, but they fucking can't produce a quarterback worth of shit.
Oh, whoa. What about our
Jalen Hurts, Oklahoma Sooner Boomer, baby. Fuck him in his Alabama days, baby.
Hey,
he had his best year at Oklahoma.
What about Tua?
And then got benched for Tua, but at the end of the day, Jalen's best year was Oklahoma.
Hey,
I mean, yes,
I agree with you. I'm not taking. Everybody knows I'm anti-Bama, but they don't play defense. I get that. I think
in the Big 12, nobody plays defense, so there's that aspect. And then the other aspect I think that people miss with Jalen Hurts is that he came in and he won SEC Freshman of the Year or Offensive Player of the Year, excuse me. That in itself in the SEC is incredibly impressive. When you've got dudes like Joe Burrow hanging out and dudes like I can't name some of the other ones right off the top of my head, but the SEC is always loaded with all kinds of crazy talent. And the fact that he won as a freshman, he got him to the national championship as a freshman. He got him to the national championship as a sophomore. Yeah, he got benched, but they won.
Yeah, so I'm not a Bama fan, Tom, but when you talk about their quarterbacks, and our guy is technically he's a Bama guy. I know he went to the Sooners, but also where the fuck is the respect for AJ McCarron?
Boomer Sooner, baby. AJ
Tom.
AJ McCarron.
AJ McCarron. Listen,
and I don't think Mac Jones is good. So
no, Mac Jones is not good. He's not good. He's pretty fucking terrible. I'm sorry.
But go ahead, Ryan. Move on.
So I want to talk about a college that does produce good quarterbacks. At least sometimes you got the Matt Leinarts and the Mark Sanchez. Mark Sanchez was USC, but the Trojans, they produced Sam Darnold, and my man is alive, and he did what no team outside of outside of the Chiefs, no team has put up more than 17. He puts up 23. They put up 23 on the Broncos, and look, he makes some big throws early, and then he let Foreman and the Panthers defense close out the game. He did exactly what he needed to do in his first game back, and now, at the very least, he's bought himself a few weeks to prove himself. Darnold was 11 for 19, 164 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks, and had a rating over 100. Before the game, wide receiver DJ Moore said he was happy to have Darnold back, and Darnold, it seemed like he was happy to be back with DJ Moore. Them two connected 4 times for 103 yards and a touchdown. They had a long strike of 52 that set up Carolina for a 26-yard field goal that Pinheiro actually made. I've been very down on Pinheiro from that Falcons game. And that kick, that play combined with that kick made it a 2-possession game. A minute and a half into the, I think it was the second half. And that was pretty much, or the fourth. That was it. The game was over after that. There was no coming back for the Broncos. Their offense has been terrible. We're going to continue. Listen, this is the third game in a row. Kev, you haven't been on with us, but I know you have been watching. I don't know if you called it, but this is now the third game in a row that I've come on here. The first time I backed the Broncos, I thought that they were back. They weren't. I ate my words. The next week, I said, I came on here after. I said, I'll never back the Broncos again. The next week, I backed the Broncos. They lost. That was last week. Then I came on here last Sunday and said, I'll never back the Broncos. And my lock of the week was Broncos minus 1.5 this week. And once again, they showed me why I cannot believe in them. And I am absolutely done. But Sam Darnold, Lego man, Sammy
I'm
D.
seeing ghosts.
Sammy D, who, if Mike White didn't ball the fuck out today, Dylan Whipper and the
Seeing
Jets fans
ghosts.
would be asking for Sammy Darnold back. Sammy D did his thing. What do you guys got on the Panthers Broncos game? And how surprising was it to see Darnold actually have a good game against the best pass coverage defense in the league, at least before this game?
Generally surprised.
I mean,
gotta say it, man. Is
Carolina
plays defense, man. I'll give them that. They surprised me last week with how well they played against the Ravens. They had a really good scheme as far as shutting down our running attack to some extent. But Sammy Darnold coming in, and I think he had a rushing touchdown too. It's surprising. It's like you said, he's bought himself another 2 to 3 weeks. Honestly, I don't know why they would go back to Baker or PJ Walker. You kind of know what you're going to get out of Baker. Baker sucks. I was a Baker believer, and he's proved me wrong, obviously. And then PJ Walker he's very limited in what he can do. Sam Darnold is not limited. Sam Darnold has a big arm. Sam Darnold is a athlete. At the very least, he's bought himself, we got 5 games left, 6 games left. I think they should start him the rest of the year. They're not totally out of that divisional race by any means. I think now they're 4-7. You know, it's totally wide open.
Well, they're technically not out because again the Bucks just keep losing, and that was something that I wanted to I forgot to mention with the Bucks. It was like as soon as they took a step forward with winning 2 games, they go and lose this game and they take a step back. So the Eagles and Packers have kicked off. So we are going to be live, and I will be making sure to update the plays. First play was an incompletion, but yeah, Sammy D came back and he did the thing. And Eagles got the ball first, Packers on defense. So we haven't seen this in a couple games. It's really been the Eagles have been deferring and it's been working. But it's interesting to see him on the field early. Hurts is taking a big shot and he got nothing. So now to the part where I felt bad bringing you on for this because I was expecting to bring you on and have you talk about a win. But the Ravens fall to the Jags. And Tom, you called this one. They fall to the Jags in a fourth quarter thriller that seen Trevor Lawrence lead the Jags to an 18-point fourth quarter after he fumbled and the Ravens scored to put the Jags down 19-10, 2 minutes into the fourth. Trevor Lawrence would respond to that mistake with a 14-play touchdown drive that seen Lawrence hit Agnew for a 1-yard strike, followed by a Ravens fumble on a very next offensive play. The Jags would settle for 3, and I'm watching Jalen Hurts break ankles, baby. He's still going. That boy is still going to the 50-yard line. Sorry, Kev. But Jags would settle for 3, and that kick would take the lead for them. Lamar gets a chance to respond, and he did. He finds the ageless speedster, our guy, Deshaun Jackson, was alive and well today. I love seeing that. And then he followed that up with a 12-yard strike to his tight end, Josh Oliver, who was pretty active. That Mark Andrews came back, and they kept going to Josh Oliver. He had, 4 catches? And Ravens took the lead back. Jags and T-Law will get one last chance to win it, and they put together a beautiful 10-play, 75-yard drive. Lawrence and the Jags, they recover from a third. What was it, Kev? Was it 3rd and 31?
3rd and 21.
21. It was 3rd and 21. They get a first down. Trevor Lawrence stamps his signature game. He finds Zay Jones for a big play. Then Christian Kirk a couple times, including the touchdown to set them up for the game-winning 2-point conversion, where he goes back to it was Zay Jones. He went back to stage. No. The touchdown was Marvin. The 2-point conversion was Zay Jones.
Yeah,
and
Zay Jones.
Big balls, Doug Peterson and the Jags stun the Baltimore Ravens. Let me put that up. 28-27. And I'm going to go right to Kev because I want to know what the Ravens fans are feeling about their team, about their quarterback, and just a general state of the team.
Well, look, man, Ravens, we're figuring out how to lose games this year. This game felt eerily similar to the Giants when we had a lead and we come out, we have a terrible kick return, and then we fumble the next play. It was almost the exact same story versus the Giants. The offensive play calling in the red zone in the first half was absolutely atrocious. We got to the 10-yard line 3 times. The first time we threw the ball 3 times after running it right down their throat and getting it inside the 10, and then just fizzling out. And, you know, as we were talking about it earlier, is in order to win in the NFL, you've got to score touchdowns. We didn't today. You know, we went into halftime. I think the score was 12-10. And look, man, I don't know what we're doing on offense, but this is year 4 in the system with Greg Roman and Lamar Jackson. We are coming out and getting that to the line with under 10 seconds almost every single play. And it's absolutely unbelievable, man. It is one of the things that makes me the angriest is how, you know, you watch these other teams. You watch just the Jags today. They get up to the line with 20 seconds, and you can check. You can read the defense. You can tell what's about to happen. We just didn't do it.
I remember I said this a couple weeks ago. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. You guys were playing, I think it was a primetime game. And it might have been the game against it was the Thursday night game against the Bucks, I'm pretty sure. If it wasn't that, it was the game against the Saints. But I remember getting on here and I talked about it was the one where him and he was yelling at the offensive lineman and Ronnie Stanley kind of checked him a little bit.
I think it was the Saints.
Yeah, so in that game, you guys had issues, and that was a big thing that I noticed with the Ravens is like I always see Lamar, and it happened again today. He's doing that clap right before, and then
the loud clap.
They snap it, and then he's holding the ball in one hand, and he's just like he don't know whether to spike it into the ground or launch it or punt it, maybe punt it and get another 15-yard penalty. But it does seem like the plays are either coming in too late or maybe I don't know. There's some sort of
play calls are too long or the terminology isn't there. I don't understand.
Yeah.
With that being said, man, I'm hoping that this is an opportunity for us to fire Greg Roman, man, as I've been calling for this dude's head for about a year now. Lamar hasn't gotten better since he won the MVP. And that in my mind is absolutely terrible. This dude is a stallion. He's a one of one. He's I think that there's more we can do with Lamar Jackson. There's ways to scheme guys open. I hate the cop out that we don't have playmakers and this and that. There's ways to get guys the ball. And we just seem to not be able to do it.
I give Lamar. Eagles just scored a touchdown. It's pending an extra kick.
Kenny Gainwell, baby.
Kenny Gainwell, baby. Jalen Hurts with some big rushes on that drive.
Bacon.
I want to respond to what Sean said, and I put it up in the comments for that reason. Sean, not only do you know what he said, teams with absolutely nothing to lose are the scariest to play. The Jags don't care if they lose that game. But let's be realistic. They don't give a damn if they lose that game because if they lose it, dude, they're already 3-7 at that point. But
I disagree.
You disagree with what? That they didn't care?
The Jags still have a chance to make a wild card run if they can win out somehow and get a couple. I mean, they're 4-7. Indianapolis Colts are third in the hunt for the wild card at 4-6-1. The Jags can still. I'm not saying they're gonna make the playoffs, but if they can somehow win their next 5 games, they can find them spots. So I mean, I do think Dougie P and the Jags want to win games, and especially how they started out in the beginning of the season.
Yeah, but
I think as soon as that drive started for the Jags,
but I get them not playing for overtime.
No, it's not playing for overtime. It's Dougie P, man. I've watched him do it with the Eagles for years. Go down. Yep. He's going for 2, man. He's going for the win. The dude is not afraid to lose the game. To say that they weren't scared to lose, I don't think is the right way to say it, because the Jags have played better football this year than they have in since 2017, when they went on their little run in the playoffs. That being said, the the Jags are a good team. They're not a bad team by any means. Trevor Lawrence makes the players around him better. We're seeing what a number one pick, what all the hype was about this guy. Kudos to them. Hell of a game.
So I do want to. All right. So I agree with what you said, and I do want to take the chance to rephrase what I said. All right. So I don't believe that they didn't care if they lost. I don't think they cared to see if they could win that game in overtime. That's probably the way that I should have. They didn't care to see if Trevor Lawrence could lead them to an overtime. They wanted to see. And again, that's the point I was making with Sean. He's what he said. It's not only does he have that. Teams got nothing to lose. They're just going to go for it, and then. He watches a lot of Eagles games. He's been friends with us. He was very into like we were very active. You were too, talking Eagles, Ravens, bullshit when Doug Peterson was in Philly. So he got to see a lot
underdogs.
Firsthand.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah.
He got to see how aggressive Doug is. And like you guys, when that drive started or once that drive was in the end zone, I didn't even think. I was like, they're going for two. I know Doug Peterson. I watched the dude for 4 or 5 years. This motherfucker is not kicking an extra point. But to respond to Sean said Harbaugh said that they're getting them in too late in response to the play calls to Lamar Jackson. And then he asked, what does Greg Roman have to do with the constant drop? And I'm gonna let Kev get this with the constant drop passes and a few overthrows by Lamar. We left like 3 touchdowns on the field today. Kev, what do you got for that?
Greg Roman has a lot to do with the play calls, man. He calls the plays. When we're in the red zone and we're running the ball effectively, why do we stop? In the first quarter, we were in the red zone twice. We got down there quickly. We didn't target Mark Andrews, I think, but one time. And then there was the one drop by Robinson. All right, I can give you that in the back of the end zone. But still, on first down, why are we not running the ball with Gus Edwards? We've got a dude who's going to push the pile for 3 yards every play, almost guaranteed. I don't understand Greg Roman. His offense just I can't. It blows my mind. We see it week after week. The dude sucks. He's got some really cool running formations and running philosophies, and that's awesome. Like, that's cool. But why can't we scheme a wide receiver open? Why can't we get Prochet involved? Why can't we get Robinson involved? Why can't we get why do we have Patrick Ricard on the field on a 3rd and 10? Why is this dude on the field? He's a 300-pound fullback, and we're checking the ball down to him. It happened three times today. It's unacceptable, man. It's just I don't know what else to say.
It's a lot of what I kind of said about the Ravens with the issues, and then what you're saying with the questionable calls in the red zone. They get down to the red zone on that first drive. It's 1st and 10 from Jacksonville's 10. They go at Josh Oliver. It's incomplete. Then they get a delay a game that pushes them back to the 15. Lamar Jackson gets those 5 yards back and hits Mark Andrews for 5, but that puts him back at the 10. So now without that penalty, they're sitting at the 5. That opens up the read option game for Lamar. That opens up different avenues, but instead they're sitting back at the 10 after Lamar connects with Andrews because of another delay of game where it's coming in too late. Lamar Jackson, he had another incomplete pass. Next thing you know, it's 4th and goal from the 10, and they got to settle for a field goal. And then what was it? Jacksonville was being aggressive again, and they tried going for it at midfield. And then kind of the same thing. They get 1st and 10 at the 18. Lamar does run it for 7 yards. Then they go to Gus for a yard, and then they go to DeMarcus Robinson, and nobody can make a play. It's so they did try kind of incorporating it there a little bit, but nobody makes a play. And the following drive, that was the fumble. That was what who fumbled? Was that Lamar to fumble?
It was Gus. Gus fumbled. It was a combination. So you didn't even say it when your little recap, but Duvernay had his worst return I've ever seen him have in the NFL in his entire NFL, and the dude returns the ball to the 5, and then on the next play, we fumble the ball. He's another one that I question is why. How are we not getting this guy involved? He's one of the fastest dudes on the field. He's got game breaking speed. The best we can do is a jet sweep 3 times in the game. That's the best we can do with him. He dropped 1 pass. That would have been two yards at the most, maybe 3. Like,
tough.
I
Not to
I
cut
struggle
anybody
with it,
off,
man.
but Bird's got an interception, baby.
Yeah, Javon Hargrave caused some pressure on Rodgers. He was able to break the sack, and he tried finding Lazard. Darius Slay stepped in front, knocked the ball in the air, and it was number 33 that caught the pick. I didn't even catch
Scott,
it was. Josiah Scott.
Josiah Scott.
I didn't know his number, but the Eagles are now.
Ooh.
You know, it's 5 minutes gone, and they're sitting. What are they
Nice
sitting
play.
at the 25? So
Like 23.
Eagles need to put something on the board right here. Again, yes, it was a very tough game for the Ravens. I'm not
cutting
so.
off there, Tom.
Let's go, Jalen.
I'm very Kev. I'm still.
me?
I still feel good. I still feel good about the Ravens altogether. I do think that they're very banged up. They're very injured, but it should be an exciting finish. What was? Let me see. What's this say right here? Was anyone else expecting Tucker to kick that game winner? I thought Tucker was going to make it, and I thought he flushed it, and then it just came up just a little short.
Yo, as my man Sean Maynard would say, though, a 67-yard kick for Tucker should be a chip shot.
Yeah. I got a question for you right now, Kev. And don't show me your biasness. I'm not talking about levels of greatness. And the Eagles just scored again. It's 14-0 Miles Sanders, baby. 13-0. Great start for the Philadelphia Eagles. But I got a question for Kev. And as soon as I remember it, I'm going to – I remember. All right. So Justin Tucker misses a 67-yard field goal, right? Earlier in the day with the wins that were going on in Tennessee. You good? Yeah, I got you. 1 second. We're having a little bit, but I do want to bring this question in, and either Sean or one of our Ravens fans in the comments can answer, or Tom can give me the answer. I want to know whether or not you would take Justin Tucker. 1 second, Kev. Go ahead.
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. Cool.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. So what I was asking was, Justin Tucker misses the 67-yard or 68-yarder that would have broke a record, won the game. And before their games, the Bengals game with the Titans, Evan McPherson said that he was hitting from 70 if he needed to. Not talking history, just talking right here, right now, moving forward for 1 year. Who you taking, McPherson or Tucker?
Tucker
10 times out of 10.
Tucker? Ooh.
10 out of 10,
Now,
baby.
I have respect for Justin Tucker. I really do. I think he's probably going to. Is he the best kicker ever?
I think so.
That
is the first time in his career. It's either the first time in his career. It's the first time in 45 attempts in the fourth quarter that he missed.
Yeah.
That in itself is impressive.
So I just like kickers aren't usually like I love Pat McAfee because he was a personality, right? And Justin Tucker, he's got that little game winner, that walk thing that he did that you see on all the, and McPherson, they kind of are a little outspoken as kickers. I like that they show a little, McPherson got confidence in himself, and Tucker, he knows he's the best. So I just thought maybe it was something that looking forward into the future, what kicker do you would you like to move forward with? But you can't go wrong with either of them. But yes, Tucker is the GOAT of this generation. I don't know if he's beating the Vinatieri's who got game-winning Super Bowl kicks and shit like that, but we'll get on to a kicker debate a little bit later. Tucker, didn't McPherson cost him a game this year? He might have. I didn't check into that. That was just something I wanted to. He did. And Ryan says, McAfee stinks, Tom. And then Ant says, McAfee is great.
McAfee's the man.
I like McAfee.
I love
McAfee.
I love Pat McAfee. He's a great personality. He's a big reason, honestly, why I I fucking the way that he does his podcast is unorthodox. It's different and it's exciting. And it's a big me listening to him was a big reason why I called up Derek and Tom one day and said, let's do this shit because McAfee is he's goated. I think that kid's going to be special, but Tucker is the GOAT until proven otherwise. And I agree. I think McPherson is a beast. He's got a big kick in his back pocket. He may have cost him a game this year, but didn't he hit a big kick? And he hit a bunch of big kicks in the playoffs last year, including the one didn't he hit the one that sent them to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, it wasn't he? Am I last year?
What was it? You broke up a little bit.
Was he a rookie last year?
I think so.
Yes.
He's either rookie or first year. One of the two.
Yeah, he's young, and they spent a pretty draft pick to get him too.
Hey man,
So-
kickers win you games, brother. I
What-
like Daniel
What did I
Carlson,
say?
too.
What did I say? I said Eagles are up 14-0 unless they missed the extra point, and they missed the extra point. Or did they go? I didn't even look over. They may have went for it.
They missed it. They missed it.
And this dude don't miss extra points or kicks like that. So I'm a little upset with this dude. All right, let's jump over. We could talk about, especially with our viewers here, a lot of Ravens guys in the chat, a Ravens guy on the screen. We could talk about the Ravens all day, and I do want to get into. Yeah, I definitely want because the Ravens are. There's a lot of Lamar talk that I would love to get into on maybe on another episode, but I do want to jump into the quarterback showdown of the decade. This was like a prime time Brady versus Manning. I was back in my heyday in like 2004, 2003 when the Colts and the Patriots were battling every AFC. We had Trevor Siemian versus Mike White. And Mike White did his goddamn thing. Jets beat the Bears 31-10. It was a game that was very competitive in the first half. I was actually surprised at how good the quarterback. Dude, they had the conditions they were worried about. Both were just thrown into a starting role. Neither of them really have great teams around. The Jets got a great defense, but the offense is since Breece Hall went down hasn't been the same. But listen. Coming into this game, the storyline was Trevor versus Mike. And then it was Nathan Peterman versus Mike. And then it was Trevor versus Mike. And now after the game, I honestly think it's Zach Wilson versus Mike White. What do you do if you're the Jets here? You're 7-4. You're in the thick of a playoff run. You're young. And I'm gonna use the air quotes. Franchise quarterback has been terrible. He lacks accountability, which really affected that team. And he was benched and he was inactive this week. So there was no shot of like, if this dude plays bad at halftime, we're gonna no. They were like, you're out. And Robert Saleh, I give him credit. A lot of people don't do this. He put his foot down and said, get the hell out of my game. And Mike White came in. The offense looked pretty good in that second half. The team looked rejuvenated. So my question is, it seemed like a one-game thing for Zach Wilson, but who's the starting quarterback next week for the Jets when they take on the Vikings?
Mike White. Zach Wilson should never play another game in a Jets uniform.
Oh, that's a
pretty hot take.
Dude. Rob Saleh doesn't like Zach Wilson. He made a pull. So you go to the front office, right? And let's ask both of you this question: who are you choosing to stay with New York? Rob Saleh or Zach Wilson for your franchise? Who are you keeping?
Go ahead, Kev.
Today it's Robert Saleh. I mean, it's not even. I don't know if you could argue
all
Zach
year
Wilson,
though.
But
touchdown Packers.
Nope. But all that
AJ
being said,
Dillon.
it's one of those things, man, where you as a franchise you don't abandon a quarterback, especially after drafting him number 2 overall. I'm sorry, he's immature. You can say what you want as far as his reaction this week. People had the same questions about him when they drafted him. I don't think he's done in New York. I really don't. I think that he'll get another opportunity to play. Mike White is a cool fill-in, and he's a fun story, and he's a practice squad hero. My mind is I got to give my boy a shout-out. I got to give Joe Flacco a shout-out. I was shocked to hear that he was not starting for the Jets this week. given that he played well the first 4 weeks of the season while Zach Wilson was recovering from the injury. I don't think that they will move on from Zach Wilson, man. I don't think you can as a franchise. It's what's his name is not a franchise quarterback. Mike White is not a franchise quarterback. He beat the Bengals last year. What did he do the game after? He fell apart against somebody terrible.
Yeah. Like, that's what these dudes do. They come in, they have big games, and then we're such a reactionary society, especially in the NFL world. It's, oh my God, Mike White is the next. Listen, you want to know what Mike White is? He's Gardner Minshew.
He's Gardner Minshew. He's Matt Flynn. He's
exactly.
a dude who's going to come in and play one really good game for you, but then he's going to go back to being what he is, a practice squad guy, a guy who's a scout team quarterback. That's all he is. Zach Wilson has the traits to be. I hate the Patrick Mahomes comparison because there's nobody. Patrick Mahomes is an alien. There's nobody in the league that's ever going to be like Patrick Mahomes. But he's a guy who can come in and still play really well. They're not done with Zach Wilson. They're not.
No. So Mahomes.
Rob Saleh's done with Zach Wilson.
No, he's not.
I don't think he is.
No.
Dude, this is going to be like a whole nother Miami Dolphins thing. Brian Flores hated Tua, and we know what Tua is. So the Miami Dolphins got rid of Brian Flores, and it's going to come down to the Jets. It's either going to be Rob Saleh or Zach Wilson. I'm telling you, you mark it right now. And I'm not saying Mike White's the starting quarterback, but it's going to come down to them two, and they're going to choose the head coach who completely turned that defense over from being almost dead last year in a lot of stats to being top 10 in a lot of stats this year.
Well, I mean, he's a defensive-minded coach, so he's definitely, his strength is going to be improving that defense. But I don't know. So to answer your question, I have a couple things I want to touch on. To answer your question, I don't think that I don't think that you could choose your head coach. You didn't commit a second-round draft pick to. And I like Saleh. I thought when he was with the 49ers, I thought he was a great defensive coach. I think he's proven to be – he's a fiery coach. His players respond well to that. He's shown that he's not afraid to make the moves that are controversial or that might create more divide in his locker room, like benching Zach Wilson. And he did a lot to get his team to rally behind him. But I also think that Zach Wilson, what you didn't talk about, Tom, and what I noticed is the next time that dude showed his face on TV, he was a completely different person. Now, whether he's faking it or whatever, doing what he's got to do, saying what he's got to say to kind of rebound for the team, whatever, I got to give him credit. He came out, he said, I didn't do it. No, this isn't surprising that I'm getting benched. I haven't done my job. And he could have made it. This could have went so many other ways. You have a kid that everyone has been billing as this. He's got this persona that he hasn't earned yet is what I hear a lot. I don't know the dude personally, but he hasn't done anything in the league to get the respect that I think that he might think he deserves. Like, if I was an NFL quarterback and I put up 3 points and my fucking defense was really balling out the way the Jets defense balled out last week, they didn't lose the game. The special teams unit did. If I put up 3 points and my team has to lose like that, I'm not coming out and saying, no, I didn't let my defense down. Yeah, you let your defense down. These dudes just pitched a 3-point game. They just got screwed over by the secondary or by the special teams. And then their quarterback who's been stinking it up. And it wasn't just like bad play here, bad. This dude was missing swing passes. This dude was missing screen passes. He couldn't put it on anybody. And you come out and say you don't feel like you let your defense down. No, you did. But then he came out. He rebounded, and look, he's the second overall pick. He's got a big arm, and I always go back to Carson because Carson is the one that it's recent, it's fresh in our mind as Eagles fans, and it's a good comparison. He's got some mobility, he's got talent. There's no denying that. It's the mental, and where he may never compare to Holmes to where Carson never could compare to Holmes or to Mahomes is the mental part that you talked about, Kev. And if he gets that, maybe it's with New York, maybe it's with a different team. If he gets that, he could be a very dangerous quarterback. But he's a very young quarterback who's not showing many progressions. If anything, I think he's showing regressions. And this is the one where I feel like so many quarterbacks have gone through the Jets system between Sanchez and Darnold and Geno Smith and guys that people thought were going to be decent quarterbacks, and they do nothing. Like Sanchez had the most success out of all these guys. Sanchez had the most success out of all these guys, but he didn't do anything. He went to an AFC Championship game and then he fumbled. But no, so I think you got to stay with Zach. I think you stay with both of them. I don't think there's that much of a divide between the head coach and the quarterback to where you got to pick right now. Now, I think this is brewing into that. Like this year, they might get a pay. Next year would be the defining year. Is like that's it. If it don't work, one of you got to go. I want to address what Sean said real quick. I'm going to read it. He certainly doesn't have the leader mentality that you would want to see from your franchise quarterback. That response in the press conference was awful. Awesome. Yeah, and that's a big thing. The quarterback being that leader and taking that accountability, kind of, because people already have this, especially defenders. They already have. Look, quarterbacks are protected. You can't touch them in the game. They get paid the most. They probably do. They have, what many would consider the most important job, but they're not the ones out there beating their body up every single game. They're not in the trenches battling 300-pound men. Like,
that's
so
terrible.
you get these defenders that are fighting as hard as they are, and then this dude comes out, shits the bed, and does what he does all the wrong things. You definitely want a guy like Jalen Hurts to lead your team as a leader. Guys build around that. Guys want to play for guys like that. All right, let's jump into right now we have a quarterback sneak that looks like it may be short.
They gave terrible spottage on the 3rd and 1, and even worse spottage on this one. Like, come on.
Well, he definitely got pushed forward. I wasn't.
Throw the red flag, Nick.
Throw the red flag, Nick. All right, so the 4:00 games. Now the later
he's over.
He's over. The 4:00 games. We had a pretty exciting game, I would say, with the Raiders and the Seahawks going down to the wire, going into overtime, which Tom alerted us when we first got on that Josh Jacobs walked off the game with a touchdown in overtime. Kev, did you catch much of that game?
I caught a little bit of it. It was it seemed like the Raiders had the game in control early. They were running Jacobs a lot. I think he was at some point he was at 7.5 yards per carry. He looked really, really good. And then Geno Smith kind of led the comeback, man. Tyler Lockett got free a few times. One time he ran a great route. He toasted the corner and scored a touchdown, and Geno put it right on him. It's impressive because the Raiders have been so bad. I mean, what was it, 2 weeks ago? They lost to a guy who's never coached in an NFL game, and then you turn around and beat one of the hotter teams in the NFC at home. Everybody knows how hard it is to go into Seattle and play. That being said, impressive win for them. Their season's pretty much over. There was some talk this past week and the prior weeks about them canning McDaniels, which I don't think that they will do, given the turnover and the John Gruden era. Overall, it's impressive, man. You got to feed your ball carriers, man. We were talking about Alabama running backs, and Jacobs is just a different beast. The guy is unbelievable, man. He just runs people over left and right. I haven't seen the highlight of the touchdown, but I imagine he ran somebody over on his way to winning the game for the Raiders.
I honestly think he was completely untouched, bro.
Really? That's surprising. I mean, that's.
So, I caught it on the TV, and then I looked at it when he was breaking free, like when he was past the 30 all the way, so it was for 86 yards. But now that you mentioned it, I'm literally going to go watch it now so I can see. But I'm pretty sure he was damn near untouched.
So Jacobs went 33 carries, 229 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and he was their leading receiver with six receptions. He fell one short of Devontae Adams, who had 7, but 6 receptions, 74 yards. So together, you put up 303 yards and 2 touchdowns. That was, and he was so hot to start the season, and in the last couple games, he kind of slowed down a little bit, and that was a response that he needed, that they needed, and they just. Look, they split it down the middle. Derek Carr had 36 pass attempts, and
completely untouched, Kev.
Woo.
He hesitated in the backfield, found the hole, ran right through it. Through not one Seattle Seahawk touched him.
So, Tom, are you watching that? So they actually didn't even complete the snap. Jalen Hurts never got the snap, and Kelsey fumbled it and kind of held on to it, and then
I was talking about the Miles Sanders. I seen that he recovered the fumble. You would say, but the third down, I thought Jalen Hurts got over, but they didn't. They marked it. It's like you get no gain. They marked it the same spot. Miles Sanders definitely didn't make it over.
So we talked about the Raiders. Kev, you said the Raiders season is completely done, but Tom brought up something that that final AFC wildcard spot has a team in it right now. What was it 4 wins, Tom?
No. So the Colts are still in the hunt at 4 wins.
In the hunt. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna look at that. So
I'm literally looking right now as we speak.
Okay. Because I was gonna say, because listen, if the Colts are in the hunt with 4 wins, the Raiders are gonna be in a hunt with 4 wins. I mean,
so right now it's the Jets at 7-4, New England at 6-5, Chargers at 6-5, and then Indy at 4-6.
Never mind, that's dead because the Bills ain't faltering, the Bengals aren't faltering, the Jets are going to fall, but then you got the Patriots and Chargers ahead of them, and I think that either one of those teams that have a 2-game advantage on the Jets, that's it. Kev,
this game next week could be huge for the Raiders. They play the Chargers in Vegas.
Okay, you're kind of changing my mind.
The Raiders win. The Raiders win. They're 5-7. Chargers are 6-6. They're only 1 game back.
Yeah, it's not over for them, but
with a split because the Chargers beat the Raiders week 1, 24-19.
Chargers beat okay. So they still even that'll pull them within a game, and then they have the
Dolphins, the Titans, the Colts, the Rams, and the Broncos.
Well, the Colts, Rams, and Broncos are winnable games, but those other 2 they're not gonna win. Maybe we'll see.
I don't know who Vegas has though.
Tom,
they have the Chargers, they have the Rams, they have the Patriots, the Steelers, the Niners, and the Chiefs. Never mind, season's over.
Yeah, who's that? The Chargers, you said?
No, the Raiders. They still have to play the Patriots, the Niners, and the Chiefs.
So Aaron Rodgers just hit Christian Watson on a 4th down to convert, but there's a penalty, and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is hurt on the play.
What's the penalty?
Actually, it's Rodgers is still walking forward, so it looks like it's going to be probably against the Eagles. It's holding against the defense. I don't know who it is. But the Packers are looking like they're about to go down and potentially tie it. Well, minimum tie it possibly and take the lead with an extra point. Who was it? Well, that's just a good route. Look, it was a good route. I can't hate. Slay got Cobb stepped in front of Slay. He was a little late on it, but hey, shit happens. All right, so Raiders and the Seahawks was a hell of a game. Another game, and I thought the Raiders and the Seahawks were probably the best of the 4:00 games because there's a lot of points on the board. There was with the overtime, there was a lot of theatrics but Kev, you said coming in, you thought the Chargers and the Cardinals was the best game because it just the emotional roller coaster in that game, how it ended, the going for 2. Give me something on Chargers Cardinals that you seen today, something that you wanted to talk about.
Well, is Kyler Murray is back from his Call of Duty break. And he came in and balled today, man. He really did play well. He's been off for 2 weeks. Rye, you beat me in fantasy because of it. He came back and he played well. He did enough for him to win, but you can't ever count Justin Herbert out. We talked a little bit about not believing that Herbert can lead that signature drive down the field. But man, he impressed me today. He made some throws on that last drive that were just flat out impressive, man. Just uh, the touchdown to tie the game was a great check down to Eckler, and Eckler got extended the ball, and then the go ahead 2 point conversion was just an absolute dart to his tight end, where I don't know how many dudes in the NFL are making that pass just because it didn't look like there was anything open, man. It didn't look like it was like an easy catch by any means.
Yeah.
That being
So
said, I think the Cardinals are done. I think Cliff Kingsbury is going to lose his job. I don't think that they've clearly regressed. We've all seen the Kyler Murray and him fighting on the sidelines and fighting about this and that, and just we kind of touched on it with Zach Wilson. I think that you don't move away from a guy that you drafted that high ever, like period. Especially after they paid the dude.
exactly. And that's where that you're reading my mind. I was coming to Tom next to say, Tom, you had said that Salah versus Wilson. I actually think a better comparison or a better one is Murray versus Cliff. But the contract is going to keep Murray over Cliff regardless, unless they do something like they did with Carson and Doug and get rid of them both. Gardner Johnson's actually getting helped off the field. That don't look good. He's our ball hawk. He's leading the league in interceptions and it's going off on a cart. But so if you were to take away the contract of Kyler Murray and he didn't have a $230 million contract with $160 million guaranteed and an average of $46 million a year, Packers just scored a touchdown. It's tie. Randall Cobb gets on the board. But if you take away that big contract from Kyler Murray, Tom, who do you go with? Do you stay with Cliff and try to, see if you get him something else, or do you stay with Kyler? Because both of them or do you get rid of them both? Because Cliff has showed that his defenses ain't ever going to be not too good. Kyler is not a quarterback that I think I would want to build around. Is it worth keeping one of them after this year? Which I think that maybe it would be. Do you get rid of them both? What do you do, Tom?
No. So I'm not going to sit there and compare Kyler Murray to Zach Wilson because we know who the clear-cut better quarterback is. I mean, a guy like Kyler Murray came into the league and threw for almost 4,000 yards. He threw for 20 touchdowns as a rookie. I mean, I honestly don't think Zach Wilson has 20 completions in his career at this point. No, but they're not even close to being compared. But the difference is Cliff has been in the Big 12. He's a head coach that never knew how to have a defense, still doesn't know how to have a defense, and it's just proven that an offensive-minded coach, it's just like Chip Kelly, work in the NFL. You're playing against grown men who are 10 times better than these college athletes, even though they were college athletes at once. Coming to the NFL is a whole different game. It's easier to win in college than it is to win in the NFL.
Yeah.
So I don't think Kyler is anything special, but he's 10 times better than Zach Wilson. So I would take Kyler over Cliff, and that's only solely because Cliff is not a good NFL head coach. He's still living in his college dreams. He's trying to bring this college offense in the NFL, and it hasn't worked out. They've had the talent around them to make the playoffs, to make a run in the playoffs, and they've done absolutely nothing. They've been a dud. So I think like Kev said, Cliff is gone, and he deserves to be gone. But with or without that contract, I would keep Kyler because you can still build around Kyler.
So I do want to correct one thing.
Counter to that, Tom. To your saying about offensive coaches not being able to become head coaches is Tua was absolutely ripped apart this past offseason for not being able to throw the ball down the field, for not, all the deficiencies that we can think of to use for Tua were used this past offseason. They hired an offensive coach. The dude from San Fran, he's a very strange guy, but man, they clearly love to play for him. And it's very similar to Cliff Kingsbury and they got him the weapons, and all of a sudden now it works. Now everything's going great. They got the Cheetah, they got Jalen Waddle, they got Gesicki going. Doesn't matter who's running the ball for him when you've got those dudes out there. How is that really that different from Cliff Kingsbury, other than the fact that he's coming from the Big 12?
So you're talking about the Dolphins head coach who was coaching where last year?
The 49ers.
So he's already coaching the NFL. Cliff's never coached in the NFL before he came in to be the head coach at Arizona. So he doesn't know what it's like to be an NFL head coach. He had no clue what it was like to be an NFL head coach.
Neither
I'll give you an example.
Mike McDaniels.
It's just like Nick Saban. Nick Saban is arguably the best college head coach almost ever, but a complete dud in the NFL. It's just some college coaches deserve to be career college coaches and not coach in the NFL, and Cliff Kingsbury is one of them. None of his plays on offense are going to work in the NFL.
So my counter to that, and I want to jump in real quick before Kev gets back on, is when Cliff came into the NFL, sure, he never had any he didn't have experience, but neither did McDaniels. McDaniels was a coordinator or whatever he was at San Fran. He wasn't a head coach. And now, if you want to even if you want to forget about that, if you want to go into this year, what is this, Cliff's 4th year? This is his 4th year in his system with his quarterback as an NFL coach, to where McDaniels is in his 1st year as an NFL coach, and he's taking on the reject that, and I call him a reject because that's what Brian Flores was. Flores didn't want Tua. He couldn't throw. Again, like Kev said, everybody was against Tua. He couldn't do this. He couldn't do that. And now that first-time head coach, that real first-time head coach, is balling in Miami, and then a dude who's been there for 4 or 5 years in Arizona is looking worse and worse and worse. So I understand that one hasn't been a coach and the one has, and Cliff came right from, but Cliff has regressed. He's never got. He's the Doc Rivers. They fucking perform in a regular season, and they don't. And that's a touchdown. Jalen Hurts. That's a long. Oh no, he's out at the 3.
Yeah, but you're comparing Mike McDaniels, who's been a coach in the NFL since 2005.
This is his 1st year as a head coach. Cliff Kingsbury's been a head coach for 5 years.
Head coach. He's been around, and he's been around NFL head coaches. Been in NFL schemes, running back schemes, wide receiver schemes, defensive schemes in the National Football League since 2005. Huh, Kev?
Who's Cliff's defensive coordinator? Do you know it?
I have no clue.
It's Lance McVay, Lance McJoseph, the former
Lance Joseph, the former for the Chargers
coach, who didn't do well there. But he always had a really good defense. It's not, I'd be willing to bet money that there's somebody else on on his coaching staff that was a former head coach.
Of course.
But my thing is I understand that one's been in the league since 2005 and the other's just cracking into the league as 4 or 5 years ago. But this is a 2022 matchup. And again, one has been a head coach for 4+ years and the other is in his 1st year. And the one that's in his 1st year, I give you that. If they're both first-time head coaches and this is their 1st year, Tom, you win. But you can throw all that shit out. This dude's been a coach for 4 seasons now. This dude's a first-time coach. I don't care, Tom. We're not running NFL teams. We're running a podcast here, right? Drop me off this podcast and you jump on here and take the role that I do. And let's see if you could. I know you've been here with me. But it's different running this shit yourself. It's just like when we do plumbing. You could be doing plumbing for 10 years, right? I got helpers. I know helpers that worked 10 years. They couldn't do the job I was doing in 2. It's not about what you sit around and watch. It's his first time doing it himself. And the other guy has been doing it for 4 years as a head coach, and the rookie looks better. Now, Cliff came in and kind of did the same thing. His offense was electric. Kyler was balling his rookie year, and then it kind of slowed down as teams got the film on him. So to compare them in the first 4 years would probably be a little bit better. But year 4 for Cliff and year 1 for McDaniels, Mike's smoking him.
Yeah, it's not close. I'm not sitting here saying Cliff is the better head coach than Mike McDaniel. And I'm not sitting here comparing that Mike McDaniel has a better offense, because Cliff has still had a power offense when he came in Arizona, which is helping my argument that Cliff needs to go. He's the problem. His offense isn't working. I don't care who his defensive coordinator, who his special teams coordinator is. I don't care if his owner was Brian Urlacher. I don't care if his owner was fucking Jerry Rice. I don't care if Jerry Rice came in here was the head coach. The difference is Cliff's offense is proven not to be working. He can't win games. He can't get to the playoffs. He's the problem in Arizona. He needs to go, and I would be surprised if he doesn't get another head coaching gig.
Okay. Go ahead, Kev.
I can agree with you to some extent that Cliff is probably out. But let's not forget he was in the playoffs last year.
Yes,
they played an extremely competitive game with the Super Bowl Rams. It was either week 17 or I think the playoff game might have been a close game. So to say that he hasn't had any success, I think is a little bit of a stretch. I do think that the stuff with him fighting the coaches and this and that will lead to eventually Kingsbury being out. I still think that offensive but to get back to your point that offensive coaches can't make it. I don't think that's correct because we have a lot of guys in the NFL who were offensive guys who are killing it in the league. McVay was an offensive coordinator.
No, you're missing my point. I'm not saying an offensive-minded coach. I'm saying a guy that only does offense and trying to bring a NCAAF offensive scheme into the NFL, and it's clearly not working is what I'm saying.
So is that all on Cliff, though? Because you did say that they had never been
Cliff's
in the playoffs.
playbook. Absolutely, it's on Cliff.
All right, so Kyler Murray went 19 for 34 with 100. So actually, in that playoff game, Rams versus Cardinals, it was 28-0 before the Rams.
Yeah, the final score was 34-11. It wasn't even close.
Before James Conner was able to push one in. But Kyler, 19 for 34, 137 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks, and a rating of 40.9. So to where I say, yes, it is on Cliff. It's also as much as Eagles score, Miles Sanders just punched in another one, get them back on top. But Cliff can only, like we said earlier, Cliff can only call the plays. And Kyler got to execute. So it's on both of them. It is. Kyler has shown time and time again that, listen, I don't think Kyler's committed to the game of football. I don't think he's committed to the Arizona Cardinals. And that's just me completely speculating based off of shit that I've seen in
well, he's always wanted to play baseball instead.
There's been the comments about baseball. I could have been this, I could have been that. Well, motherfucker, why didn't you do it? Right. And then there's always the video game thing that pops up. Then there's the fighting with him and DeAndre Hopkins. There's a fighting with him and Kingsbury. And it's just like, dude, at some point, like, I feel like he reminds me of what I said with Zach Wilson. He walks around with this swagger on the field of I did this when he's earned a bunch of fucking nothingness. He hasn't done shit. He got smoked in his one playoff game. And outside of that, again, I had to correct Tom. He never threw for 4,000 yards. Not once.
No, I said almost 4,000 yards.
Almost, yeah. So, but outside of that, he's a solid quarterback. He completes a good amount of 2 out of every 3 passes. He'll give you almost 4,000 yards as he did his first 3 years. He's on pace to do this year. He's going to have a good touchdown to interception ratio, and he's going to have a good QBR. So he's going to give you that chance. But where I think that I keep calling him Tua. Kyler struggles is a lot of crucial times. He's not performing. It's there's a lot of mistakes that come with that. There's a lot of dead drives that just don't go nowhere, and it's like this team could be so much better. Now, to where I give Lamar a lot of slack for missing weapons. They get him Hollywood Brown. He can't stay on the field. They get him DeAndre Hopkins. He's suspended for 6 games. James Conner's been injured this year. Zach Ertz is hurt. So, like, they're dealing with the injury bug there, too. So, I want to make sure that I give him the same respect that I've given guys like Lamar that are missing players. But at some point, it's on both of them. They both got to do a better job. And then we didn't even talk about the other team. We didn't. They get a win here. And it feels great for them, but did they do anything? I felt like the Chargers should have beat up on the Cardinals. Now I know the Cardinals could put up a lot of points with anybody when they're on, but they weren't exactly on. And the Chargers still it took them to the end of the game to win this one. They had to win it with a 2-point conversion. I'm waiting for that team to kind of explode and have a dominating win. And it's just they keep it's fingernail games every week, and they're either losing them or they're winning them. And it's not a good recipe for success in the league. Tom, are your Chargers and then I killed Herbert coming into this game. I said that he was not clutch, and as soon as I go public and say that he's not clutch, and I still don't think he's clutch. He had a great drive today, and he did what he had to do. He did what I was asking him for. I've been asking him to win a game in the clutch, and I've been asking Justin Fields to just win a game, period. And Fields still hasn't done shit for me. But Herbert, he did his thing today. I can't hate him, but I'm still expecting more from this Chargers team. This was a team that I penciled in the beginning of the year, just mentally to myself. I thought this was a team that could face Buffalo or Kansas City in the AFC Championship, and I just don't see it from them. Not right now.
Well, that's the issue. They were supposed to, coming into the season, be the only team one of the only teams other than the Bills to be able to compete with the Chiefs and possibly win that division.
Ain't nobody from that division competing with the Chiefs. Not now, not next year. That is Kansas City. As long as Kelsey, Mahomes, and Andy Reid are in the building, that is Kansas City's division.
I said the same thing before the season.
Crazy.
The Chiefs kingdom.
And every year it's the same thing. Oh, the Broncos are good. They got a great defense. They got Russ. The Raiders are rebounding. They had a great listen. They shot
Monte Adams. Yeah.
Yeah, they went toe to toe with the Chargers last year and got into the playoffs. And then who'd they lose to? The Bengals or whoever they lost to? Yeah, they're not doing nothing. And then the Chargers, they got the best roster in the league and this and that. And now they got a quarterback that falters more than he wins in the clutch. And then they have a roster that's just can't get healthy offensively. Yeah, no, that's the Chiefs division for the foreseeable future. And talking about the Chiefs, they were able to pick up a win today against the Rams, and it wasn't the prettiest game. I know it was I wouldn't say close, because at no point did you actually think that the Rams were going to beat the Chargers. But I mean, 13-3 at halftime, it's not like the Chiefs. Tom, you called this game a game where the Chiefs were going to fucking pad their stats, and I told you no, because the Rams still got a great defense. And Mahomes, 320 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. But nobody really exploded. Everyone kind of got into the mix. This felt more like the game in which Mahomes is going to say, okay, I'm not going to go give Travis Kelce 11 catches for 180 yards and 3 touchdowns. This is going to be, I'm going to get everybody to touch the ball in this game, because I'm going to need these guys moving forward. And I would really like for them to be on their shit. And then they go and
10 different players touched the ball.
10 different players touched the ball, and 8 different players had multiple catches. So you got guys like Kelsey did his thing. MVS got going. Juju had a couple catches. Sky Moore got in it. Then they got the running backs. Every running back that they have got involved today. And
I do think it's worth noting that Tony and the speedster, what's his name?
Hardman.
Let's go.
Exactly, Kevin. This is a game. Maybe I said where they were going to pad stats, but instead of them padding stats, Mahomes just made them look silly. They covered the spread.
It did.
And 2, Mahomes just said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go out there and don't bench everybody but me on fantasy. I'm going to go out there, and every single player on my 53-man active roster that's an offensive player that can touch the ball is touching the ball, and that's what he did. So instead of him padding the stats, he just went out there and spread the ball to everybody.
I mean,
and I just want to make it known that Rye called this. Rye called Jalen Ramsey guarding Travis Kelce on Friday's episode, but Travis Kelce made Jalen Ramsey look fucking silly.
And Ramsey got him back. But go ahead.
But that's what Ramsey should be doing on a tight end.
Okay, so I want to take credit for calling it and saying it. But it was clear cut. They've done it before, and nobody else on the Chiefs. You're not sticking Ramsey on Juju. Juju's been nice, but you could stick one of those other quarterbacks. You're taking your best defensive player that can cover Kelsey, and you're putting him on Kelsey. And listen, as much as Kelsey did his thing on that one catch that I know you're talking about, he had 4 catches today. Now it was the other guy, the rest of the team did the thing, and the Rams didn't really have a chance. But Jalen doesn't play offense, and they held that Chiefs team. Listen, they had 20 points going into the fourth quarter. If you take these teams that are going up against the Chiefs and say, I'm going to give you 20 points from that Chiefs offense going into the fourth, you're signing up for that. That's an explosive offense over there. If you tell me Eagles going into the fourth quarter, they're going to have 20. I think with that Kansas City defense, all right, we're going to have some luck. But listen, they had a backup quarterback going. But
no Cooper.
I just want to really hone in on that matchup there, because I think Ramsey had a very solid game. 4 catches, 57 yards for Travis Kelce. Now, this is a dude that's been putting up 3 touchdowns a game. This is a dude that's been putting up massive numbers. This is one that we talked about earlier, could be one of the greatest tight ends to ever play this game. And Ramsey, he got beat on the one play, and then there was a play where Travis Kelce was standing at the goal line, maybe in the end zone, and Ramsey stopped him from getting another touchdown. So it was a great battle. I actually want to go back probably tomorrow and look at the entire battle between them two, but I loved what I seen. I think it was a good matchup, and that would have been a completely different game if Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and the rest of the Rams were out there. Even with them being in the slump that they've been, if Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp are on that field with the way that defense actually played, I think that's definitely a much closer game. That's a one possession game at least. But in the end, Chiefs win big. They did win big. They won by 16, 2 possessions, and they moved to 9-2.
Shout out to Reed Blankenship.
Reed or Rodrigo?
Reed Blankenship, who just intercepted the ball off of Rodgers.
Oh, that was okay. Rodrigo is the kicker. Ain't he
He's the kicker.
For the Colts?
Specs.
That was look, we got picks by 32 and 33 today. We got picks by Josiah Scott, and we got a pick by Blankenship, who just replaced Gardner Johnson. So even when Gardner Johnson isn't in there ball hawking, the guy taking his position is Jalen Hurts. Comes out, he completes a big pass to Devontae Smith, first down. All right, so Chiefs continue. They're 9-2. They're the best team in the AFC right now, and they will continue to stay there most likely in my rankings. And a team that continues to rise in my rankings, and a team that I now solely believe is the third, maybe second best option in the NFC, and have a very realistic chance. I have them in the NFC Championship game. From the minute that they made the deal for McCaffrey, I've been all over the 49ers, and they didn't look like super good today. There was a lot of sloppy passes from Jimmy G, which is what they get. He missed McCaffrey on a swing pass that probably would have walked in for a touchdown. Their defense is nasty. Their offense can be explosive if Jimmy just doesn't get in their way. And the 49ers, they just continue to show. And I know that it's a game that everyone expected them to win. But that they didn't let nothing. 13-0. The offense wasn't anything special. They can be explosive. They weren't today. They were very kind of ineffective. But they were effective enough to win when you got a defense that's pitching a shutout. And if the Saints, for Eagles fans, fall to 4-8, that helps our draft picks. The 49ers are now 7-4. They're at the 3 seed in the NFC, and they are starting. They're going to pull away with the NFC West because the Seahawks lose. The Rams are out of it, and the Cardinals ain't. They're not really doing much. So this is their chance to kind of pull away. They got a little bit of a schedule coming up. What do you guys got on the Saints and the 49ers?
Saints suck.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of is mind-boggling, that trade they made to not take a quarterback. I'm not exactly sure if there was one there for them to take this past year, but just with I think that they had high hopes for Winston, and we all know how that fizzled out. The Niners are the scariest team, I think, in the NFC right now. With the weapons they have, the defense they have, all they need Jimmy G to do is exist. Just exist and not turn the ball over, and they're going to win games. I mean, the playmakers, the three-headed monster of Kittle, McCaffrey, and Debo. I mean, sign me up, man. I'll watch them play anytime, anywhere. Kyle Shanahan, the offensive coordinator, or head coach.
They are the most dangerous team, and they are a quarterback away from, again, Jimmy G. They can be the most dangerous team in the NFC with Jimmy G, like you said, just existing. Imagine, we've talked about this. Imagine them getting somebody, and I don't want to put this on you, but imagine them getting somebody like Lamar, or imagine them getting a dude that we're watching right now who's been dying to play for the 49ers since he was a child, and Aaron Rodgers gets out of Green Bay and makes his way to San Fran. That, if they're able to get a quarterback, a veteran quarterback in here, because they're not going to get a top 5 draft pick and go get one of these guys. If they're able to get a solid quarterback in there, somebody, I don't think Trey Lance is the answer.
I'll throw another name at you who is also another big Niners fan growing up. What if they can convince Tom Brady to come? What if Tom Brady
about that
way out? That could happen. We could see it.
I don't think he's in Tampa next year. I don't think he's retiring. I could see him. He could be another 49er. I didn't even think of him, but that's a good one. I see Tom leaving the Bucks, and the 49ers would be a great spot for him. I think that's a championship waiting to happen. But I also think that there's this very real possibility. The NFL is a story. The NFL is they're all about storylines. They're all about writing off the perfect endings. And the Eagles just turned the ball over somehow, and now the Packers are at the 12-yard line.
AJ Brown fumbled again.
Oh,
jeez.
AJ, just fucking go. Take what you got.
Oh my God. See, that's like, I'm not too upset that he fights for extra yards with one defender on him, but when you're getting hawked by 4 defenders,
you gotta
going anywhere.
You got to know when enough is enough. It's 3rd and 8. It's a screen. You are already surrounded by 6 Green Bay Packer players. You have 3 points on the board that makes it a 2-possession game. And I don't know, bro. Some of the shit is this is part of the reason why people don't believe that the Philadelphia Eagles are as good as their record. It's because of shit like this. It's because of, you go up 13-0, and next thing you know, the Packers score 14 straight. And then you respond and say, slow down, Green Bay. We're going to put you back in your place. You score. You make a good defensive stop. You get a pick. And then you get the pick in the red zone. Then you drive the ball all the way down, and it's a touchdown. And now they're about to be winning. There's a flag, so maybe it comes back. So you take the ball away from them when they're driving. It's a holding on the offense. They're driving, and you take the ball away from them in the red zone. You stop their attempt, and now you're about to put up 3 points. And then AJ Brown, I won't kill AJ Brown. He's fucking been a difference maker, him and Jalen. But shit like that is why even 3 points there makes it 23-14. That's a different game than now. They're in. This penalty is going to push them back. It's going to be 1st and 20, but they just fucking had a run that went into the end zone. So they're on the verge of tying the game and taking the lead. Eagles need to, damn, he got fucking leveled. Hargrave got leveled.
Yo, but to piggyback off that Niners, something that's crazy that stands out to me is the 49ers in their last 4 games have given up 0 points in the second half in their last 4 games.
Wow. That is a stat that I did not know, and that's good fucking defense. All right, it's looking like the Eagles are going to at least hold them to 3. But yeah, that Niners defense is legit, and they got the Niners. I remember from when I was a little bit older watching football. I did a lot of betting. I love that Niners defense with Navarro Bowman and Patrick Willis. When they when they were playing. Is that when they played you guys in the Super Bowl?
Yes, sir.
So I loved those 2 linebackers. Those 2 linebackers are somebody you sign me up, put them in Philly, and let us ride Bowman and Patrick Willis for 10 years, and I'll be happy. Fred Warner fits right in with that mold. Fred Warner is a ball. He hits hard. He's physical. He's flying around the field. Rodgers just hit a touchdown. I got to shut the fuck up. Aaron Jones got the touchdown call back. He went and scored another touchdown. Oh. And this
The
is why
over's
people,
looking real good
again,
tonight.
it is, but this is why people won't take the Philadelphia Eagles seriously as the top team in the NFC because
I want to
of
know why the
mistakes
fuck
like
a running
this.
back is in the back of our end zone with fucking Mike Epps on him, and he can't fucking. Why is Aaron? Why? How is Aaron Jones open in the middle of the fucking end zone in the back of the end zone? It
Look,
doesn't
watch.
make sense.
He gets behind Edwards. He
From
looks
the
like he's going to go
fucking
to a corner.
slot.
He looks like he's going to go to a corner. He breaks it back in. As soon as he
That's
looked,
from
and
a running back.
They missed the extra point, and it's all tied. No, listen. Mike Epps bit, bro. He looked like he was going to the outside, and that is a stupid bite because you have two cornerbacks pushing back towards the back pylon right now. Their outside receiver was running. It looked like he was running a streak into the end zone.
Yo, the over on this game was fucking 46, and the over's about
to get cash in the first half. But yeah, so in that game, like I said, the first half was pretty disappointing for the 49ers. They struggled to convert the good drives that they did have. They struggled to convert them into touchdowns. And then they get a 32-yard touchdown by Elijah Mitchell, who went down with an injury today. They get a call back on a holding by George Kittle. They get no touchdown there. And that's the type of shit that the Eagles do. And that's where you're like, okay, Niners with Jimmy G, this is the shit you got to clean up if we're going to take you serious. But they would save face. Jimmy G summons the luck of the football gods. He throws a pass. The defender gets up, gets his hands on it, and Jawan Jennings makes a hell of a play. It just the ball tipped the right way for them. They get a touchdown there, and who was it? Jennings. Jennings went 5 catches for 43 yards and a touchdown in the first half, and on an offense that has Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, and Deebo Samuel. Alvin Kamara was
very lucky on that touchdown he had.
That should have been a pick. It could have been a pick.
Went right through the Honey Badger's hands, and Jennings caught it in the back corner of the end zone.
I didn't want to kill the defender because it was a really he was up there, and maybe he just ran out of arm length, but that definitely shouldn't have. Worst case, that should have fluttered out the back of the end zone. But they get the fortunate bounce, and that wound up being the difference. This game was 13-0. And I know they didn't score at all, but that's a completely different feel if that doesn't go in and the 49ers go in the half at 6-0. That's a completely different game.
It's a different ball game if Alvin Kamara doesn't fumble.
Yes, well, he was bottled up in the first half, bro. The Saints could not move the ball outside of 3 plays where Dalton, and this is all first half. Dalton connected with Shaheed and Troutman for 35 and 17, and then their other big play of double-digit yards was a 10-yard scramble by Andy Dalton. They got shut out in the first half. They got shut out in the second half, and then a drop.
The drop was crucial. I feel like that ended the game for the Saints almost. Was just, you have your decent drive. You've got two good pickups. You bring on what's his name? Taysom Hill, and he delivers a dot over the middle, and just Wilson pulls a rookie move, and
yeah, it's a tough that. So we've been talking about we talked about the draft and now with this, I mean, we got a great Sunday night football game going, but we got a long ways to go, and we've talked about. It's going to be the Texans, Panthers, Saints are going to kind of be the teams that are really most looking for a quarterback. The Saints don't got their pick. The Eagles do. And we were just talking about like packages that the Saints would have to send if we were to give them their pick back, if it was top 3, which they it was like we had that conversation, then they won 2 straight games. And so it went from the number 3 pick to like the number 12 or wherever it's sitting now. But what do you see the Saints' future, Kev? What shot do they got to rebound this thing? Or are they going into next year with Andy Dalton or Jameis Winston and then just waiting a whole nother year to make a move at quarterback?
It's real tough to say right now for them. It's just without having their pick and having a really down year, it makes you wonder if they're going to go after someone else in free agency. Potentially Lamar. I don't know what their cap situation is looking like, but I mean, you go after a dude like Lamar, you go after a dude like, I don't know, some one of the washed up vets who's going to be going going around. Maybe take a shot on Jared Goff. Maybe take a shot on Geno Smith. There's going to be guys available. It doesn't seem like it's going to be good. Any situation that they're trying to trade with the Eagles, or let's say they're trying to trade with, I don't know, one of these other teams that's going to be in the top 4 or 5 picks. Do you really see them giving up Alvin Kamara? Like, do you see them giving up the capital? Maybe give up future first round picks. I don't. It's a real gamble for him. Is every time a team trades up into the first round and starts gambling their picks, it's a gamble, man. It really is. Like it worked out. Like I'll give you an example. It worked out great for the Niners. The Niners had a great backup plan with Jimmy G, and they hemorrhaged the future for Trey Lance. Trey Lance is still a huge question mark, but they're still winning games and they're still very competitive. And it doesn't look like their first round picks are going to be doing anything at all. You know, they're going to be 20, 25, somewhere in that range.
So real quick on the Saints, they have the second average age on their team, 27.49, second to only the Bucks. So they're the second oldest team. They have the highest cap hit for this year at $282 million. They don't really have that much dead cap, but the Bears have $116 million in available cap space. They're number 1 in the league. The Saints are dead last. They have negative $63 million in cap space. Negative 63. And this is the number that's going to be going into next season.
Yeah, I think it's like you said, man. I think they're just going to be bad next year. I think that's really the situation they're looking at. Is, you know, you tried to put together something after post Drew Brees, and it didn't work. Michael Thomas has not worked. They paid him all that money, and the dude's played 4 games since. They brought in the Honey Badger to replace dudes that they didn't want to pay on their own team, which still baffles me that they did that. I think they're just going to be bad.
So they don't really have that much money, but here's some of the quarterbacks that are going to be available. And tell me if you hear anyone that you would say, hey, Saints, fix your cap and go get this guy. You got Daniel Jones is a pending free agent. You got to think that the Giants are probably going to roll with him. You got Brady, Jacoby Brissett. He's done in Cleveland. He's going to be available. Geno Smith, you got to think that the Seahawks are going to re-sign him. Then you got guys like Lamar, which I don't see Lamar going there. They're not going to have the money. But you got guys like Jimmy G, Andy Dalton, Baker Mayfield. Any of those guys, your boy Joe Flacco, you got Cooper Rush. Like, if any of these guys actually hit the free agency, are any of them, you know, can he do something with the Saints? Is that something that New Orleans fans can get excited for? Because that place, dude, they love their Saints. It don't matter if they're good or bad. That I've been to that stadium. That stadium is loud as shit. They love some football down there, and they need something to sell seats, and it's not going to be a mixture of Andy Dalton and Jameis. Maybe Daniel Jones. I don't know.
I don't think any of them, honestly.
Brissett?
I don't think that I think Daniel Jones has played himself back into New York's graces, and Dayball has proved that he can do something with him.
He stinks.
I mean, look, you can say he stinks all you want, but he finally gets an offensive coordinator, an offense that he can do something in, and he's actually done pretty well. I mean, there's no if and or buts about it. Daniel Jones has looked very good this year. And I think that's a direct correlation with Dayball. And they don't have wide receivers. They don't. Kenny Galladay's been a humongous bust for him.
Yes.
Tony's been in and out of the lineup when he was there, and now he's gone. Wan'Dale Robinson's out. I mean, he's producing with Barkley and Daniel Bellinger and Marcus Johnson, I think his name is, and Darius Slayton. Like,
not
So
good playmakers.
no, and not. But I mean, he's played 11 games this year, right? He's averaging less than 200 yards per game. He's averaging less than one touchdown per game. His touchdown to interception ratio is 10-4. Now I know he runs the ball. He does a lot on the ground, but he's just another one of those he's Jimmy G, but he's not as smart. Like, he's another quarterback. The Giants are not winning because of Daniel Jones. The Giants are winning because of Saquon. The Giants are winning because their defense shows up at times, and the Giants are winning because they find themselves in a lot of one possession games that they're able to take advantage of. Now, he's not hurting them in the sense
I was
of
just going to say that he's not making the big mistake. That's the thing I think that's changed this year with Daniel Jones, is that he doesn't make the crucial turnover that seems to have always been him.
But the Giants have been dealing with that since 2004. They got the quarterback that's not making the terrible mistakes, but is kind of, I mean, Eli caught lightning in a bottle, and I want to give respect to Eli. I don't want to downplay what he's been able to do in his, or what he was able to do. But the Giants fans, I mean, at some point you got to be like, dude, we need a quarterback. Like, this is a big market. This is a fan base that is loyal. This is a fan base that shows you they're ready to pounce if this team is, dude. When they were 7-2, I have a buddy who's a huge Giants fan. He was on, dude. I was watching videos that he was posting up down on the field. It was electric there. It was the Giants were like, and from the outside looking in, not having blue blinders on, I'm like, this team is like, this is like a train wreck waiting to go off the rails because of Daniel Jones. Like, I've been on Daniel Jones for, I've watched too much. I remember when the dude broke free against the Eagles and was ready to drive a knife in our hearts. Was wide open and tripped on himself. He had a fucking 80-yard walk-in touchdown. He tripped on himself. And at that point I was like, yeah, this dude's not what the New York Giants need, a quarterback. But they don't really have. I do think that he played his way back in just because of how they started this season, and it's unfortunate because New York's going to be extremely mediocre until they find somebody else. But hey, they're in a better position than a team like the Texans or some of these other teams, like maybe the Saints.
So you can rattle off like 5-6 teams that are. You thought that the Giants at the beginning of the season were going to be one of those teams.
Yeah, you definitely.
Let's go defense.
Let's go defense. We're getting close to halftime. Tom, I know you get up early, my good friend, and I know you're not feeling good, and we got through all the games. I want to give you a chance. If you are ready to say goodbye to the people for the night, to jump in and just let everyone know, because people are a little disappointed in you, Tom. People are a little disappointed. The Tom Clan Lock of the Week is costing money. It costs me money. I bet $2 on the Bucks, and I want my $2 back, Tom.
Listen, I won your money on Thursday, and I just lost you the money you won on Thursday today. But I apologize. Gamble responsibly. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
If you have a gambling problem,
my locker will
call me.
Fucking blame. Fucking. Brady should have pulled away from the game. That old fucking piece of shit. But I'm gonna have a guaranteed. I'm gonna have a guaranteed winner for you. So let's break it down. My objection is I could go on a route and I could be the guy that gives you these favorite money lines. Like, I could have said, yeah, take Miami's money line over Houston for a lock of the week. Sure, you're going to have to lay fucking $600 to win $100. Nah, that's not me. I like the hard way of doing things. So I'm going to do my best to try and give you the point spreads, which I should have went with you and I was fucking fully guaranteed on, is I should have gave you the Bengals, but I was sort of keeping that in my back pocket.
For what?
Because I thought I didn't even bet it because I thought the Bucks. I thought me and you were the same way. Thought the Bucks was a guaranteed win. I thought the Bucks was a guaranteed win, and I don't like to bet against you, Ryan. You like Tennessee, I like the Bengals, so I was just keeping that low key. What I should have did is I should have locked the Jags plus the points. Matter of fact, I should have locked the Jags money line because I said they were going to win this week.
You did. What's crazy is the two games that you talked the most about with the most confidence of winning was the Jags beating the Broncos and was the Bengals beating the Titans. You talked with them two games with the most confidence in your team's winning, and you didn't choose either of them. You took Brady, who you've been backing Brady forever, like I said, and you took Brady and you thought that those two games that he won hey, the Bucs are back. And I don't blame you because I thought the same thing. And then I definitely didn't think that they were going to lose to a team that would not commit to one of the best running backs in the league. But when I'm pushing you like that and I'm like, yo, look at this, it's staring you in the face. Nick Chubb has got 25. I broke the stats down. Nick Chubb has 25 carries in their last two games. I said, Nick Chubb needs to get 35 carries, and if he does, the Browns will have a good chance. But the reason I took the Bucs with you is because I said it, I did not believe Stefanski was going to give the ball to Nick Chubb. And I if he did, I remember saying that they would fare much better. I still didn't think that they were going to beat the Bucs, but they did. And listen, I do respect you for not going the easy route. And you know, it was a tough week for the Tom Flynn lock of the week, but it will be back next week and it will be better than ever. Go ahead.
It will be on Wednesday's show, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But with that being said, I'm going to go do my research this week. I'm going to give you my breakdowns on my 4 games, just like Ryan and Derek are going to do. But I'm a little under the weather, so I'm going to check out of here, Rye and Kev.
We bid you adieu. Thank you. And the show is on Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bring the lock of the week.
Why did I
ready
say
to line some pockets?
That's because
I'm not sure.
Gotcha. Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't do drugs.
Or do.
Drink a lot of beer. Beer is good for you.
All right, Thomas, I appreciate you, and I will probably be in your job tomorrow, so I will see you then, my guy.
All right, brother. Kev, thank you for coming on, Kev. I appreciate you much, brother.
Thanks, bro. Have a good night. Bro. Hope you feel better.
So Tom said don't do drugs. He's telling the kids not to do drugs. Good job, Tom.
Tom's
good job. Tom is a fucking role model. Tom is somebody that I would love my kids to grow up to be like. I'm just gonna gaslight Tom for the next fucking however. But kids, don't do drugs unless you're older, and then some drugs aren't so bad, but don't do the hard stuff. So we got a little bit of a battle going here. 20-20. AJ Brown just dropped another ball. I think he's getting blanketed by Jair Alexander right now. Kev, do you golf?
I do not. I'm trying to get back into it. That's what I'm asking for Christmas for my parents is a set of clubs. So probably here in the next 6 months or so, I'm gonna be hitting it. Is they just opened up a what's the golf thing called?
Topgolf
right around the corner from my house here in North Charleston. So I'm excited about that. It'll be fun. Yeah,
so get it because then we will take some trips out there and plan some golf outings. But I had something for the guys because we actually went golfing this weekend. We golfed twice. I golfed Friday with Derek and my father-in-law and my uncle, but he raised me after my mom died, so I consider him a father. And we got our asses whooped, bro. We typically play these dudes pretty good. Now they beat us way more than they've been golfing longer than us. Really, the one dude is who taught me and Derek both how to golf. But they beat our ass. They beat us by like 14 strokes, and me and Derek kind of played like shit. We shot at 89 on that course, bro. Came back the next morning. That was Friday. Came back the next morning for a tournament. Tom was there and Doug was there. It was me, Tom, Derek, and Doug, the BG original foursome.
BG legends, yeah.
We shot in a tournament. We actually shot 68. So we improved our score by 21 strokes in a matter of 2 days, in a matter of not even 24 hours. But so we finished. We were looking pretty good. I think at one point we were -2, -3. We strung together a couple holes with bogeys, and without those bogeys, we would have finished, I think, 6 under, and the winning team finished 12 under. They got some teams there, bro. These dudes are nasty. I had dropped 3. I dropped 3 on par 3s. They do closest to the pin. You write your name on it, you measure it out, and then at the end they give out awards. I dropped 3 fucking shots on 3 different holes. I dropped them within like 20. One was like 22 feet, the other was 10, and then the other one was 11. Like I dropped 3 on the greens, and I was like, damn, like, and each time when I came back around, somebody had beaten me. And it was, I think the dude's name was Javier Marquez. I'll never forget his name now because every hole that I dropped on, he beat me on all 3 of those holes. I got back inside and I was talking to the lady. I was like, who's Javier? She's like, oh, he's good. He's always here. She's like, are you that Ryan guy? I was like, yeah, how you know? She's like, because he came in and was like, that Ryan guy is going to be mad every hole I went to that he was close, I beat him. And I was just like, yeah. But my question for them was based around golf. And I know you're not married, you don't have kids, which the 3 of us do. Tom's not married, but he has kids. He might as well be married. But in a situation where you're under the restrictions that we are with the kids and the wives, my question was going to be, what wouldn't you do for your wife to say yes to an afternoon of golf? Because again, Friday was way unprompted. We were at Thanksgiving dinner out of nowhere. I'm like, I want to golf. Boom, we golfed. And then Saturday was a tournament we had planned for a couple weeks. But I got home from the tournament Saturday and I fucking cleaned. I swear to God, I feel like I cleaned every inch of this house. And I said that when we were on the course, I was like, when we get home, I'm going to kiss so much ass so that the next time I want to go to a tournament, in the back of her mind, she's going to be like, all right, he's going to be golfing all day. But when he comes home, he's going to clean the shit out this house. So we cleaned. We got the Christmas decorations up, our trees up. We put all the Thanksgiving stuff away, and my wife did most of that. She's fucking, when it comes to the house, bro. You've been to my house a bunch of times. She's very about the decor. She likes keeping the house looking good and festive, and so we did all that. And I knew that was what was going to make her happy. So my question is, in a situation when in the future you're married and you have kids and you want to golf with the boys, what wouldn't you do for your wife to say yes? Is there anything you wouldn't do, or are like me, you're scrubbing toilets and wiping asses?
I'm pretty sure I'm just like you. I would do whatever it takes, man. Is I cave pretty easy, especially when I want to do something. I'm like, oh yeah, whatever, yeah. Come home. You want me to fucking clean everything? I'm gonna clean everything. You want me to do the laundry? You want me to fold it and put it away too? I'll do that shit. Like,
yep. It sounds so good in the moment, but then once you're doing it, you're like, bro, why did I should have just stayed home.
I signed up for this. Like,
oh shit. They just went back and damn, Lane Johnson is a monster. But yeah, so we were I don't think there's much that I wouldn't do. If I gotta stay with the kids for a weekend so she can do what she wants, cool. If that gets me an outing for golf, absolutely. If it's trash duty, if it's dishes, if it's sweep, whatever. I hate sweeping. I hate putting clothes away. I'm the laundry man. I will fucking sit there on a Sunday morning, and I did it all day today. I will sit there on a Sunday morning and I will start my laundry with my coffee, and I will fold, wash, and dry laundry from 9 in the morning on Sunday till 11. When I get off here, I got 2 more loads of laundry to do. I will fold them motherfuckers. I will organize them. It's pants, shirts, pajamas, whatever. I will do the whole bit. I will put them in baskets that go to each individual room. I do not want to put clothes away. I hate putting clothes away in the drawers. If it was up to me, they would just sit in a basket and I pick them from there. But I do everything else. I wash them, fold them. They look good. I hate putting them away. And Friday when I was doing laundry, I didn't even ask. I'm just fucking folding clothes. I'm taking them upstairs and putting them away in different drawers. It's like I turn into a maniac when it comes to something I want to do. I'm just like, yes. Let's do this. And
absolutely, yes, man.
it's funny because, dude, the time with the guys is like, I love my family. I love my wife. The time with the guys is like, that's like it's a little bit of an escape from the everyday life that we go through. Us as men, we're under a lot of pressure, and even more so when you're a dad or a husband. It's just like everything's just amplified. Yeah, we got to be the providers. We got to be the protectors. We got to be this. We got to be the strong voice. And it's just like when I get to go golf, it's just like peace, quiet, and then I let golf piss me the fuck off, and it's just like,
Yeah.
But so real quick before we're getting to halftime, and we'll probably wrap it up at halftime. I wanted to talk to you. I know this weekend was wild with college football, and I know you're more, and I would love to get Sam on. Eagles just scored a touchdown. AJ Brown made up for it. Or no, that might have been Quez. That was Quez. We got a Quez sighting, but I would love to get Sam on here to talk about his Purdue Boilermakers. But
oh yeah, man, it was a big weekend for our boy Sam. Purdue beat Indiana. Indiana hung around a little longer than I thought they were going to, but they pulled out the win. They're playing Michigan in the Big Ten championship on Saturday. And then Kansas State also beat Kansas, and Kansas has had a little turnaround there. And they will be playing in the Big 12 championship game versus undefeated TCU.
TCU is my team that I'm not real big into college football. TCU is the team that I'm grabbing onto, and I'm just like, I've about 5-6 weeks ago, I was like, damn, I really like this team. And I've been talking to Tom about them. I'm like, they're going to jump into the top 4. They're going to jump into the top 3 once that game this weekend where Michigan and Ohio State. Listen, Ohio State gets blown out, and now TCU jumps into the top 3. And they're not an easy out. They're not going to be an easy out. They play good football. They got a decent
team of destiny. That's what I actually said to Sam is They really do. They figure out a way to win games. It's not always pretty. It's not like sexy, high flying Big 10 or Big 12 offense that we normally think of. The thing that impresses me the most with TCU is their size. They look like a SEC team out there, man. Their D line and their O line, they're just fucking monsters, dude. I'm looking forward to it. Personally, I hope that all the big boys win, and we get Georgia, we get TCU, we get Michigan, and we get USC in the playoff. I think it would be great for college football. You know, you're getting every corner of the United States covered. Everybody's going to be in. That being said, it's college football, man. Teams lose every week. That is just randomly lose. Like Georgia was playing Georgia Tech this weekend, and the score was 13-7. I walked away, came back, and the score was 37-7. Shit happens. It's I'm excited for it. The real wild card of the 4 that I just said is USC. I hope that they'll put a conference champion USC in over, let's say, a 1-loss Ohio State, just because Ohio State got the fucking doors beat in by Michigan this past week, and they didn't even have their best player playing. Their running back didn't, I think he played 10 snaps or something.
So my only thing with that is I appreciate, I appreciate that, but Ohio State lost to the number 2 team, and they did get their shit pushed into where USC's loss came to Utah. And I think I value a loss to, again, Utah's loss was by 1 point, and Ohio State, again, they got smacked around. So you got to take each for what it is. But that's kind of where I was going. Who do you have right now? I'm looking, and for the most part, it's probably going to be a mixture of USC and Ohio State 4-5. Are you taking USC at 4 for yourself?
Yes, I am. Personally, I think it's going to come down to how they play in the conference championship game. I think that holds a lot of merit with the committee. I think if they play well, if they blow out whoever it is, I'm not exactly sure who they're playing. It's maybe Oregon or Utah. If it's Utah again or Oregon and they blow them out, I think it's a no-brainer that you're putting them in over Ohio State. Even though Ohio State lost to the number 2 team, Ohio State doesn't have the best wins per se. Is they played Northwestern to a 2-touchdown game, and that's a team. Northwestern won, I think, 1 game this year, maybe 2 games. So right now, like today, I'm putting USC in.
Okay. So they are getting their USC is going to get their rematch against Utah. Now that's a big game. If they lose to Utah again, they're going to be out. But that is a chance to where Ohio State's not going to get that second chance. At least not next week. They're not getting a second chance to go up against Michigan. The only chance that they'll have is if they got to come out and they got to just win their last game and they got to hope that USC does lose to Utah, because I think that if USC can correct themselves and beat Utah, they're going to wind up making it. They're going to wind up making it in over Ohio State. But I mean, it's going to be pretty interesting. Ryan Lee says Ohio State should make to see it. Ouch. I don't know, bro. So. They got a good win over Penn State. They did beat the number 8 ranked Penn State. But that loss versus Michigan, bro, they didn't even look competitive.
Yeah, it's like they came out in the second half and didn't look like a football team. Just
the first half,
terrible decisions, and
dude, they were winning the first half. They got outscored in the second quarter, but they went into halftime with a 3-point lead, and then it was just down from there. And I don't know, man. They just, like I said, I don't watch too much college football, but I like to watch the big time matchups. And I know, bro, and I promise, with doing this podcast and just as much as I love football, I'm going to get into college football. I love football, and just the excitement that comes with college is just another level. But I do like to watch the big matchups, and Ohio State, while it did look competitive first, that second half was telling. Any team that can get smacked around like that in a half of football in a game that important, at that point the loser of that game has a chance of falling out of the playoff picture.
And that's
the biggest game.
That's my point. Is that if Ohio State plays Michigan to a 1-score game, we're not talking about USC being in at all.
They got
my biggest.
Yeah, it's a 1-possession game to the number 2 team. Cool, you lost the game. You have another win versus a top 10 team, and USC loses to a team that's not even in the top 10. They're 12, but they lose to Utah. And then, like you said, it don't matter. That chance to kind of correct that loss to Utah, that don't matter, because Ohio State, all they got to do is win their last game, and they're there. But again, they got smacked around, and the committee wants the Heisman Trophy winner in C.J. Stroud, and then if they don't sneak them, they'll sneak OSU.
I don't think that C.J. Stroud is for sure the Heisman winner. I think that Caleb Williams is still right in the thick of it. I think that the betting odds changed on it too this after Saturday. Is that Williams is the favorite to win the Heisman, which I think right now he is.
Let me see. Go ahead.
Stroud has played phenomenal. He's played really, really good. But Stroud's been in the system now. This is his second year in the system. Caleb Williams, the same coach. Totally new team, totally new guys. They've had a rash of injuries that hasn't had him miss a beat.
So he is the betting favorite, Caleb Williams. He's at minus on FanDuel. He's at minus 2,200. And CJ Stroud's at plus 2,500. So there's a big swing in between. Those two. It did, and I'm about done. As much as I don't watch, and again, I don't want to say I'd never watch, because I can tell you the last couple years, I know who wins and who, I get in at the bowl season. Bowl season is so fun. Even if you don't like college football, bowl season is a hell of a time to get involved. And I'm sick and tired of seeing Alabama. I'm ready, just as I'm sure a lot of people are. I'm ready to see some different teams in there. I'm ready to see Michigan go and win one, or even Georgia just won. But let's see a couple dominating years from Georgia winning multiple championships instead of Bama. And Georgia looks like I don't know. Georgia, dude, Georgia and Michigan look like they're on a crash course. And
they do.
as good as Michigan looked and as silly as they made Ohio State look, I don't know if they can fuck with
different,
Georgia.
man. Georgia's different. Yeah, dude. They really not a team you want to see.
Georgia
When they have
lost.
things clicking, Georgia's unbeatable. I really do believe that is when Georgia's playing at their top A game. There's nobody in college football that can beat them. Now they have
No.
have an off day. Anybody can get them. TCU could get them.
Can LSU get them?
I don't think so, and that's mostly because I think that LSU is still new. You know, they just got the new coach. They fumbled. They had a chance. They could have been in the playoff. They really could have been in the playoff if they had won this past weekend and gone in with only 2 losses. And somehow, if they had managed to beat UGA, I think they would have been a lock.
Oh, if
it's
they
not
listen,
like they're going to leave UGA out.
No, if LSU doesn't lose by 15 to A&M, their other loss was against who? Florida State. They have outside of that, they would have. Oh, and they lost to Tennessee.
Yeah,
so that put them at 3 losses. Tennessee was the number 1 team in the country when they lost. So I know they got losses to some ranked teams, but they got a big win against Alabama, and they would have had a big win. They would have beat Alabama, which was a top. Alabama was number 2 when LSU played them, if I'm not mistaken, and then or number 2 or they were in the top 4, and then they would have beaten the number 1 Georgia team if they were able to get that done. And I think that even with 2 wins, if you beat Bama, no way Bama could get in over you. And then if you beat Georgia, Georgia's still going to make it. And if you beat the team that's going to get in there, you got some stake. But I bring up LSU because our boy Jonah, very big LSU fan.
The biggest LSU fan we know.
He is. And he's been all over them this year. And he's been, flying out because the Broncos, his other team, are not doing so good. The Warriors, his other team, are not looking that good. So he has to latch on to LSU. And they did have a chance. They lose again. They lose. They lose by 15 to A&M. And they're Jaden Daniels, their quarterback. He didn't have the craziest game. That dude, he's like, he had a quiet game passing, but he had a big game running the ball, and it's just look. I don't know. I wish I did a project on LSU in 7th grade. I think that it was 2006, 2007. I think they had just won a national championship, and I had to do a project.
The ugly one over Alabama.
Yeah, I had to do a project on a sports team, a college sports team, or a sports team that won a championship. It couldn't be Philadelphia based, and I picked LSU. And I wrote this whole. I've done 2 great sports projects in my life. I did the LSU one, and I did a project on Vladimir Guerrero because he was my favorite baseball player at the time. And I always felt like it's weird. A stupid ass project I did in school that I passed. I got like a 97 on. Always kind of connected me to. I would always take more of an interest in what LSU was doing. It was that, and it was their basketball. And I would always kind of keep an eye on them and be like, all right, I did that fucking project once in 7th grade. So LSU, I know all about LSU.
Boys,
and it's like, they're my guys. And no, it's like they got some good. Listen, they produce good corners. They produce good receivers. And for the most part, they produce really good receivers. Odell came from them. JJ and fucking Jamar Chase, bro.
Jettas.
How could those 2 be on that team and then not win it? They didn't win a championship with them 2. No, they did with Burrow.
Well, they did with Burrow. The other 2 didn't though. Landry and Odell.
Not Landry. Justin Jefferson and Jamar.
Yeah, no, those 2 did. I was saying is Odell and Landry were there together too. And they didn't do shit. But that's also because they didn't have a quarterback. But that's what they always said at LSU is like, once we get our guy, we're gonna do great things, and they did. I mean, Joe Burrow had the best season arguably ever quarterback could have. I think he had like 65 touchdowns, like 10 picks, 5,000 yards. with the college football world on fire.
Who was when Odell and Jarvis were there? Who was their quarterback? I'm looking it up.
Yeah, I think there was a few guys.
Was it Rob Bolden?
Maybe. I think he wore number 10.
They had Alfred Blue on that team. Zach Mettenberger.
There you go. That fucking bum.
Oh, Zach! I remember he came out and
they were the scouts were all like, "This is the next guy."
Where he went to the Titans, I think.
Right? Is either the Titans or the Texans? One of those two.
Yeah, I think he went to.
Shit.
He played the 1 year and he played decent. He had a what is his stats here? 22 touchdowns, 8. But yeah, he wasn't the quarterback for the other because Odell was there from 2011 to 2013. I want to see who his other quarterbacks were. That is interesting. They've had some decent quarterbacks there, and they didn't have anybody when Odell was there. And that really is the reason why they didn't win no touchdown or win no touchdown.
Well, nobody knew who Odell was when he came in the NFL. That changed.
So they had Spencer Ware and Alfred Blue as their
who? Yeah.
Spencer Ware, the great Kansas City Chief, and Alfred Blue, the greatest Houston Texans running back outside of Arian Foster. Come on, baby. Remember how good I was? Dude, I was thinking about this morning, just out of nowhere. I was thinking about and they had Russell Shepard too. I was thinking about they played a Le'Veon Bell highlight, and I started thinking about all the great running backs that aren't like the Le'Veon Bells, how explosive he was. I don't like mentioning the dude because I think he's a fucking scumbag, but Ray Rice and how explosive he was. Arian Foster and those three guys, I had all three of them on my fantasy team 1 year, and I won the championship running away. I had Le'Veon. Le'Veon was blowing up, Foster, and then Ray Rice, and it was, I think that might have been the year Rice got suspended. Regardless, I had them.
That was the year we won the Super Bowl. So, like, when we won the Super Bowl in 2012, that off season was when he hit his wife. Obviously, never played again in the NFL.
And never played again. Yeah. So I just got to thinking about all the good running backs and how like Le'Veon and
MJD.
Who was it?
Maurice Jones-Drew. Another one, muscle. I think what do they call him, the muscle hamster, right? There's another little dude who's just a fucking.
Maurice Jones-Drew was he was a beast. He was he's on what's he on? He's on Good Football America.
He's on one
or Good Morning Football or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Yo, he was like a little fucking cannonball.
Yeah.
That dude, what was his best? He did it both. I mean, shit. Once he started rolling, this dude had 60 catch seasons. He had 50 catch seasons. He had a couple 40 catch seasons. Like, he wasn't just a running back. He wasn't Le'Veon out the backfield doing both as long as he did. But Jones-Drew was not into. He beat up on the Eagles a couple times. I remember him just always being one of the hardest dudes to tackle. From my personal experience when I faced him in an NFL game.
Oh yeah.
But
send you to fucking gulag.
It got oh hell yeah. Could you imagine trying to get lower than Maurice Jones-Drew?
Nope. Dude was like
I don't
5'6".
I don't know that it's possible. Who were some of the run like dude, it got me thinking. Like, I thought about everybody. I thought about Jay Ajayi when he first got in and was like he like took over the league for like 4 games.
Yeah, 4 or 5 games was just that dude running for over 100 and catching for over 100 in Peyton's days.
Here's another one. This dude blew up out of nowhere. Graced a Madden cover and then was never to be seen again. You know who I'm going for?
Mm-hmm. Peyton, baby. Peyton Hillis, man. That dude was unbelievable for
1 year. Yo,
just 1 year, and then he disappeared.
And that was right off. That was, correct me if I'm wrong. You would probably know because it's your division. That was right off the heels of them like getting rid of the Trent Richardson experience. Wasn't that, or was that before they got Richardson?
I think that was before Richardson. So that was like the first time I think that they were a positive 500 record. They missed the playoffs, but were 10-6, and it was the first time since they had kind of came back that they were over 500. I'm pretty sure, and they had Derek Anderson as their quarterback.
So it's funny. I typed in who's the biggest flash in the pan players in the NFL. And one of the guys that came up was Aaron Rodgers, which I guess people are saying because, I won't go that far. But the number one answer is Peyton Hillis.
Yeah.
Peyton Hillis was oh my God. He was like Mike Allstott reborn in the way that he was just fucking
perfect comparison. Literally was just giant white dude fucking run you over. He wore that fucking sick DNA face mask, dude. He was unbelievable for that season.
He was nasty, and then it was like, okay, they got a running back, and what did he? I want to see what he did. 2010 was the year he went for almost 1,200 yards, and he had 61 catches for almost 500 yards, 13 touchdowns. Ends up on the cover of Madden, which, dude, he had to be the first. I don't know if there's ever been another Cleveland Brown on the cover of Madden, right?
I don't think so. But that was also the first time that they did the fan vote thing. That's why he got the cover, was because they did the fan vote.
And that was okay. And that was when the fans in Madden are responsible for the downfall of Peyton Hillis because the Madden curse got him. Got him, bro. He was
blasted his ass.
Was he even like? I don't remember too much because I wasn't playing a lot of online head-to-heads. But was he good in the Madden game? No. I don't remember ever playing with him.
No, those were the CJ2K days. He was the best.
Yes, that dude was just fucking so much faster than everybody else.
Oh yeah, he was that 99 speed, bro. Yeah, that's who I remember. I think that's who I used. I won one Madden tournament. I think that's when I was in college in 2010 or 2011.
So talking about Madden, when are one of us going to win a championship in our Madden league?
Bro, I'm going this year, man. I got a development game with Zach Wilson. I just got him to Superstar last week. Got another chance for him this week to go X Factor. This is my year, bro.
I'm trying to meet you there. And I'm gonna fucking.
We gotta take Rel down, man. Rel been talking a lot. He's not, and Rel's not that fun of a champion. It's like even
he don't talk shit.
He doesn't talk shit. He doesn't like get excited about it. And I'm just like, yo, man, when you have your time, you gotta take it. You have to talk your shit. You have to let everybody know. Because it might not happen again. Like for me, man, it hasn't happened. Like I'm fucking a 1 year. I'm Peyton Hillis. Like
what? You came in, you took over a bad team, but you were trash, and then you came back the very next Madden and started winning championships. Very competitive for 2 straight Maddens, and then you always stayed competitive, but again, like you haven't been able to get over the hump. So that's a very good comparison. But you got 4. You do got 4, and I would like to see one of us get back to greatness. And I'm doing my part. Every time I step down from a commish role, I win a championship. I step down, I'm 6-2, and I'm trying. I want to see if Cornell's going to play tonight, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah, I might see if Bobby's going to play. I gotta be up early, but I'm already kind of wired a little bit here.
Wired, baby.
Yeah, all right, buddy.
Well, I definitely appreciate you jumping on, and you're only our second guest. Our first guest was Ellie, and we had a bunch of people in the comments correcting some things that Ellie said. No one's had to correct you. You've been very on point with your shit.
Come on, hey, as I know my shit.
That's what I said. That's what I said when I told Derek and Tom. I was like, "Yo, we're gonna bring Kevin this week," and then Derek wasn't feeling good, and that's when I called you and was like, "Yo, do you want to just do the whole, you want to rock the whole show with us. And you were like, yeah. And I was excited because we've worked together in the Madden League for 32 guys writing fucking power rankings and different shit for a video game. I was like, I know that
we fixed all the edits too, man. That was a whole.
That was a week-long traumatic experience.
Yeah, never do that.
And I had COVID. I had COVID during that. We were just talking about that. That was when COVID Rye was fucking beating everybody by 50.
Mm-hmm.
When you didn't get that.
That's all you had to do.
Yeah, just get sick.
Just get sick.
No,
that's you play Madden. No.
Yep, get sick and play Madden. And that wasn't even. That was this time. That was
about a year ago, right?
Like yeah, about a year.
March.
Yeah, because February. It was February because I got COVID. I stepped away from my company. I was working for another plumber, and I got sick. I got COVID, and a dude kept fucking. You know how I am when it comes to respect. It's like I give respect, I want it back, and dude kept catching himself talking sideways to me. And I got COVID. I was out for 2 weeks, and I went back. I worked for 2 days, and I was just like, dude, you can go fuck yourself. I'm going back to my business. And so it wasn't February because I went back to my business in March. But yeah, it was crazy times. But one of us will get back. Maybe both of us get back, and we have a nice NFC South fucking rematch from last match.
The reunion.
Yes. But I am looking forward to getting you on again. If you want to, do a couple, we'll talk. If you want to do a couple pieces, and because I'm gonna start doing pieces on that we release. That's not just videos. We'll do videos that aren't live that we release content. Right now, we're still in the beginning feeling stages, trying to get everybody acclimated to a good flow, find out who our good guests are, and we're getting a great response. And I'm trying my best to continue to edit this content and put it out. But eventually I'm going to turn it over to someone else and just focus on the content and probably hire somebody to do this. And we're looking to take it serious. And I want to keep you as a guest that comes on frequently if you're up for that. Cause you were awesome today. And I know Derek and Tom, they appreciate it. I appreciate it. And I know you're a good guy to talk football with.
Oh yeah, man. I appreciate coming on. I appreciate shooting the shit, talking football anytime, man. We'll talk. We'll be back.
Yep, I appreciate that. And I'm going to end it, but you don't have to click out. We can say our goodbyes after. But I want to thank everybody and our 3 viewers that are still here and people that stay with us. If you're listening to this podcast tomorrow, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Catch us Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we will be bringing you the preview for Week 13, along with the recap of this Sunday Night Football game. Tomorrow's fucking doozy between the Colts and the Steelers, which I don't even know if I'm going to watch, to be completely honest. And then we bring you the Tom Flynn Lock of the Week that is winning everybody money. All right, thank you everybody for joining us again. It's been a long show, almost 3 hours, and we will catch you on Thursday. Peace.